Chapter 244. Not only did the news of Chu Xiang's abuse spread out, but it was also very detailed. Because Yunnan and the others were close to Chu Xiang, many people asked them about it. Everyone had misunderstood Chu Xiang for a long time. Since this matter had been exposed, they naturally had to know the truth, lest everyone still treated the Chu and Chen families as good people. It was not enough to hate them for everything that Chu Xiang had suffered at the hands of the two families. No one in the Chen family paid attention to it, but the news of the Chu couple being biased and grounding Chu Xiang and not giving her food attracted a lot of attention. Were these two idiots? How did they manage to build such a huge Chu's from scratch? Some of the young masters and sisters who were a few years older than them said, "The Chu group? Isn't it just because they are a little smart and a little lucky?" Both the real estate and electronics industries had been fished up, and they had boarded the big ship that was going smoothly. I used to think that they had good foresight, but now it seems that they just got lucky. Yes, think about it carefully. The Chu group has been stagnant for the past 3 to 5 years. Nowadays, the business world can't rely on any bit of luck. If people are not smart enough and don't have a forward-looking vision, they will really be left behind by others. The Chu group is like this. As soon as these words spread, this group of young boys and girls understood. The development of the era created a group of people like this. Some of them became rich, and their knowledge and inner qualities were also enriched. Naturally, they were noble from the inside out. However, most people relied on their talents and luck, and did not improve themselves in time. Like the Chu group, only Father Chu's talents in business were good, but he did not have enough inner qualities. It was not strange for such a rich family to do anything. If they did not have a foundation, who knew what their character and cultivation were like? Just from the farce of Chu Xiang and Chu Xian, the Chu family was narrow-minded and did not do things well enough. Chu Xiang had just returned from a poor family. Obviously, with how much the Chu clan despised her, they wouldn't put much effort into teaching her. These negative impressions of the Chu clan didn't affect her at all, because everyone's expectations of her were low. However, the 3 members of the Chu family were different. At the very least, they looked decent on the surface and looked like decent people. What about now? It was as if the masks they used to cover up had suddenly been torn off, allowing others to clearly see the superficial and vulgar nature of their inner selves. Although there were many filthy things in rich families, as long as they covered it up well, no one would think anything of it. Now that the Chu clan's cover had been removed, everyone's impression of them took a turn for the worse. The more they knew about them, the worse their impression of them became. This was because the young man's thoughts were relatively pure. Only a few elders knew about it, and they had even more thoughts about the Chu clan. The Chu family only had one daughter, Chu Xiang. At most, they had another adopted daughter, Chu Xian. At present, it seemed that they were unable to support the company, and Father Chu was getting older day by day. With such a piece of cake placed here, those who were tempted had already considered it, while those who did not like it had ruled out cooperation with the Chu group. The family was in such a mess. Those who really wanted to do good projects didn't look for Mr. Chu to cooperate. Those who looked for Mr. Chu to cooperate were all people who wanted to make a fortune from the Chu corporation. And this was just the starting point of the butterfly effect. The time was too short, so short that Mr. Chu didn't realize that something was wrong. By the time he realized it, the influence would have been irresistible. Chu Xiang's life became colorful. She was more serious than anyone in class, and after class, people often came to ask her to go out to play. Some of them she knew, some she didn't know. Anyway, as long as she knew one of them, she would go with them to play basketball, badminton, table tennis, and so on. In high school, there was a lot of pressure to study. She needed to relax and exercise. At first, those who came to her were just curious and wanted to meet her. Later, they found that Chu Xiang was really easy to get along with, and she could quickly learn to play anything, so they liked to come to her even more. Chu Xiang's circle of friends expanded rapidly. Seeing it, Chu Xian was anxious, but now she was more afraid that Chu Xiang would harm her. She was also afraid that the Chu couple would find out the bad news from somewhere and expose her scheme. Now she was on tenterhooks. How could she dare to deal with Chu Xiang casually? In the 3 grades of this school, there were many second and third generations. Some families were rich, such as the Xiao family. Some were very rich, such as Yunan's. Some were quite rich, such as the Chu family. And some were not bad, such as Zhang Qi's and Chu Xiang's roommates' families. Therefore, Chu Xiang's daily activities and friend-making time successfully spread her temperament and character to various circles. Many photos were also sent out, so they had a concrete impression of her. On the weekend, Chu Xiang attended 3 gatherings of different circles because of the invitations from her roommates, Yunan Dongfei and Yang Xueqing. Now even the more important people in the circle knew her. They mostly gathered in the club. Everyone found that Chu Xiang's etiquette was good. Someone praised her, and Chu Xiang smiled. It's always good to learn more. There was a time when I made a fool of myself and made people angry, so I observed more and learned from others. Who was angry? Of course it was the Chu couple. Why did she observe others and learn? Of course, it was because the Chu couple didn't teach her specifically. Was she really their biological daughter? This was worse than being picked up from the streets. Some people wanted to see Chu Xiang's bruises, but Chu Xiang certainly wouldn't show them. However, some curious people deliberately wet Chu Xiang's sleeves and quickly pulled them open while wiping them. The crisscrossing bruises were exposed to everyone's eyes. Since they were so curious, of course Chu Xiang would follow their wishes and give them ample time to take 1 or 2 photos. Everyone knew how badly she had been beaten up just by looking at 1 or 2 photos. Some people even mentioned working. What did these young masters and sisters know about working? They could only think of bar waiters, restaurant waiters, flower shop girls, cashiers, and pastry shop receptionists. But how much could they earn by doing these? Chu Xiang asked them curiously, "What do you want to do after graduating from college?" This question was a little strange and a little funny. What could they do? Of course, they would listen to their families and help out in the company. However, they were all young and could still fantasize about it. Many people described their dreams to Chu Xiang. "I want to open the biggest entertainment club. There must be everything we can play in it. I want everyone to think of my club when they think of going out to play. I want to apply for the most expensive annual membership and live a life of luxury there. Oh no, I want to enjoy myself there legally. I want to open a pharmaceutical factory and solve all the difficult problems in the medical world. I want to be a demoness who frightens the business world. I want to be the only one who can clinch deals worth hundreds of billions of dollars. I want to take over the entertainment industry. I want to film whatever I want and let whoever I want act in it. I want to be a rich man who only knows how to spend money. I want to sail out on my yacht and have my own island. I want to have parties and have fun with my friends." They were obviously just playing around and were getting more and more ridiculous. However, they realized that Chu Xiang was actually listening very seriously, as if she really felt that those were their dreams. They couldn't help but ask, "What about you? I heard that you want to find a good job after graduation. Don't you want the Chu group anymore?" Chu Xiang smiled and shook her head calmly. "I think it's better to rely on my own hands to work for things. In the past, I thought that I would save money to buy a store and open a breakfast shop in the future. That way, I wouldn't have to set up a stall outside in the wind and rain. Later, I felt that with a high degree, I wouldn't have to worry about anything if I entered a big company as a gold-collar worker. Now, what's wrong now? Did you find that it's best to inherit the Chu group after listening to us? Then you'll be the new generation's boss." Someone teased her and felt that it was normal for her to have such ambition. After all, how many poor people wouldn't be fascinated when they suddenly fell into a golden nest? However, Chu Xiang still shook her head. "Can't I just do it? I've worked hard for it. The Chu group should be given to Chu Xian, right? She's the heir that her parents have carefully cultivated." Pfft, someone burst out laughing. "Her heir? I think she's more like a greenhouse flower. She's weak." Chu Xiang didn't comment on her words, nor did she diss Chu Xian. She continued to imagine the future with them. "I think your dreams are very good. Although some of them are difficult to achieve, don't dreams have to be set at a high point? My previous dreams were too easy to achieve compared to yours. I don't know what I want to do specifically yet. After all, there are too many things that I haven't seen, but it should be similar to your dreams. I'll make a decision after I gain more knowledge and find a direction that I like." For now I'll study hard. How's your study going? I heard that you were the last in the exam before. Chu Xiang didn't care. I was a little nervous before. In fact, I still know many questions. Recently, I've been asked a lot of questions by the teacher, and I've caught up a lot. I'll definitely do well in the midterm exam. Oh, then you can do it. Everyone had different opinions about her. Some thought that she was interesting, some thought that she was bragging without self-awareness, some laughed that her dream was a triple jump, some thought that she was pretending to be noble, some thought that she was too real, and some thought that she was very real. Anyway, whether it was those who wanted to see her make a fool of herself or those who really liked her, everyone was happy to play with her. Chu Xiang slowly followed them to many places, such as the race course, shooting range, golf course, racing track, bar, Michelin restaurant, and so on. They were all places that were more luxurious or noble. Many people were curious. Chu Xiang's simple wish had changed after meeting them. If she wanted to play with them more, would she be mesmerized by this bustling scene? Had she forgotten her original intention? Chu Xiang was so busy that she didn't have time to get along with Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan endured for a while and couldn't help but send her a message. Do you like to play everywhere? I can also play with you. Xiao Yan never went out to play. Other than going to school, he didn't go to crowded places. Chu Xiang saw him like this. Why did it feel like he was breaking through obstacles by her side? Breaking through those obstacles layer by layer? Chu Xiang told him. If I don't go out to play with them, how can my biography spread so quickly in the circle? Of course, Xiao Yan knew that she didn't want to be famous. After thinking for a while, he asked her, Are you trying to ruin the Chu family's reputation? Do you hate them and want to make things difficult for them? I can get my father to do it. What's the point of destroying them quietly? They made me a joke in the circle. I have to let them experience this feeling. Besides, I still want to know more about the movements of the various families. I can get a lot of information by chatting with them. Don't worry, I like to play like this. Chu Xiang wasn't used to letting others do everything for her. Then wouldn't she just be living one life after another? Eating and waiting for death. What was the point? She had to do something to play with. During this period of time, the young masters and sisters of the various families took the initiative to come to her door to get information. Xiao Yan saw that she didn't want to go anymore. Instead, he thought of what he could do for her. Those people could let her get information. What about him? Previously, did Chu Xianglai play at his house because she didn't have any friends? Now that she had more friends, would she find him boring? Xiao Yan thought about it for a long time and sent his father a WeChat message. How do I send someone to prison? Father Xiao was in a meeting. When he saw the message, he was shocked. He quickly raised his hand to signal for everyone to disperse, and went back to the office to call Xiao Yan. What happened to his son? If he hadn't been afraid that his son would look for him, he might not have seen this message in time. Father Xiao regretted calling Xiao Yan. If his son didn't like to talk, why did he call? However, the call had already been connected. He still asked, Yan, who do you want to send to prison? What happened? He thought that his son wouldn't talk and was ready to hang up the phone and send a message. He didn't expect to hear his son say, Xiang Xiang's adoptive parents, surnamed Chun. They abused Xiang Xiang. Xiang Xiang's body is full of injuries. Father Xiao didn't know why, but he could hear heartache in his son's flat tone. Moreover, it wasn't a message this time. This was the first time his son had said such a long sentence to him in 10 years. Father Xiao wanted him to talk more, so he probed. Did Xiang Xiang ask you to help her deal with the Chen family? Does she want them to go to prison? Father Xiao seemed to have misunderstood that Chu Xiang was using Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan was a little anxious and immediately explained. No. Xiang Xiang is kind and didn't mention it. Why didn't my classmates sue the Chun family? I think their identity is a little special, and it's not convenient to sue them. It's also not easy to find injury identification and evidence. It's best to use other methods, but I don't know what methods there are. He grew up in a very simple environment, so of course he didn't know. Father Xiao smiled. I'll go home early and finish this with you. Don't worry, they won't get better. Xiao Yan spoke a lot this time, as if he had broken through a barrier. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Thank you, Dad." Father Xiao was very happy. His son changed too quickly. Ever since he got together with Chu Xianglai, his autism improved like a rocket. Because of this, he couldn't let the people who bullied Chu Xiang have an easy time. With the Chen couple's personalities, it was easy for them to cause trouble. Father Chen had been unwilling to give up for many years. He was still brooding about his bankruptcy. After he received 5 million from the Chu family, he wanted to make a comeback. Father Xiao didn't dare to do anything else, but in the business world, it was easy for him to set a trap for others. He immediately asked his special assistant to investigate the Chen family. Then he told Xiao Yan about his arrangements and guided Xiao Yan to complete this matter. At the same time, he taught Xiao Yan some business methods. Xiao Yan was the only heir of the Xiao family. Since Xiao Yan wanted to change, he should teach him everything. Xiao Yan learned very seriously. He decided to change, but this change was actually very torturous. However, he didn't like the feeling of standing still while Chu Xiang had seen the world, so he had to change. Mother Xiao was as gratified as Father Xiao, but she was a mother after all. When she saw her son working so hard, her heart softened. She thought about it and asked Chu Xiang out for a meal behind Xiao Yan's back. Chu Xiang's first reaction was that she had finally encountered the plot of being dumped with 5 million yuan. However, she denied this idea in less than a second. Mother Xiao smiled as soon as she saw her. "I asked you out for lunch at noon. Did I take up your time?" Chu Xiang shook her head. "I just memorized some words at school at noon. It was very boring. How could it be better than eating out with Mother Xiao?" Mother Xiao liked her attitude very much. Thinking of her advice, she asked, "Why didn't you let me pick you up? Why did you have to go to the private room with me after a period of time? What's wrong? Are you afraid of being seen?" Chu Xiang said truthfully, "Mother Xiao, I found that no one in the class knows that Xiao Yan is your son. I think there may be some tricks. I should be careful. Besides, I don't want others to know that you are so good to me." "Oh, why? Isn't it good for me to support you?" Mother Xiao looked at Chu Xiang and was really confused about this. Chu Xiang smiled sweetly. "It's just some trivial things. There's no need to trouble you. I'm fine now. Don't worry. By the way, why did Mother Xiao come to see me today? For Xiao Yan?" Mother Xiao found that Chu Xiang was really smart. Not only was she good at reading people's expressions, but she was also good at speculating things based on some clues. She smiled and sighed. "If you were born in our family, I'm afraid you could be Father Xiao's assistant now." She smiled faintly and lowered her head to drink water. Chu Xiang didn't urge her, and kept looking at her calmly. Mother Xiao calmed down and sighed. "When you met Yan, he was expressionless and didn't talk to people. He must have been very difficult to get along with at that time. But he wasn't like that at that time." Mother Xiao took out a DV from her bag and played the video inside for Chu Xiang. She looked nostalgic. This was recorded when Yan was 7 years old. It was on his birthday. "Look, how beautiful he is when he smiles. How happy is he?" In the video, the boy was running around in the garden with his friends. He was sweating profusely, but his smile was full of sunshine. Compared to his current appearance, it was like comparing a fireball to an ice cube. The difference was too big. Chu Xiang looked up and asked Mother Xiao after watching it, "What happened to him? Was he kidnapped?" Mother Xiao was surprised. "How did you guess?" Chu Xiang replayed the video and continued watching. "I don't think Brother Zhang is an ordinary chauffeur. He's more like a powerful soldier." Mother Xiao nodded. "Your father Xiao used his connections to invite Zhang. He's not ordinary. With him protecting Yan, we can rest assured that he can go to school." She took another sip of water. Her fingers trembled slightly as she held the cup. Then she put the cup down again. When Yan was 7 years old, his best friend's family went bankrupt. Because they were involved in something they shouldn't be involved in, the Xiao family didn't help them. After they went bankrupt, we only provided them with help and wanted to send them abroad. Xiang, I don't know if you understand, but the Xiao family did everything we could at that time." Chu Xiang reached out and held her hand. She comforted her in a gentle voice. "I understand. Mother Xiao, it's all in the past." Mother Xiao smiled and held her hand tightly. as if she was drawing strength from it. Now that I think about it, I still find it hard to breathe. We thought we did everything we could, but we didn't expect that family to hate us. They felt that we didn't do anything and even suspected that we were behind it. At that time, they had no chance of making a comeback. Perhaps they were desperate and wanted to drag us down with them. They actually let Yan's friend trick Yan out of the house. When we found him, he was being choked by the neck and pushed into the water again and again. They kept cursing at him. Yan's best friend was crying beside him. He even blamed Yan, saying that the Xiao family had harmed his family, and that Yan deserved it. Mother Xiao's voice trembled with anger. Yan was still there. How scared was he? How sad? How painful? We rescued him and treated him in the best hospital with the best team of specialists. He was still in a coma for a week. After he woke up, he didn't cry or make a fuss, but he didn't smile either. He didn't react to the outside world at all. He didn't even eat. The doctors and psychologists worked together to treat him for a long time, before he slowly became like this. He lived a normal life, but he didn't talk or have any expression. I thought he would be like this for the rest of his life, until you drowned. Mother Xiao looked at Chu Xiong with gratitude and heartache in her eyes. You've been wronged. I heard that the situation was very dangerous at that time. You went into shock and almost missed the chance to be treated. Chu Xiong nodded. I asked my classmate. She said that I didn't have any breath at that time. Xiao Yan suddenly said, "Let me do it." Then he insisted on performing CPR on me. He was the one who saved me. Mother Xiao said. Yin changed since then. He became better. I don't know if it was because he saw you drowning and saved you with his own hands. In short, the barrier that blocked him from the outside world was loosening, and it was getting looser and looser. I could tell that he cared about you very much, and was willing to listen to you. He even started to communicate with the people around him, and started to speak. His father and I went to see a psychologist. The specialist said that this might be the only chance in his life. If he succeeds, he can become a normal person again. If he fails, he might build a thicker barrier to completely isolate himself from the outside world. Mother Xiao took a deep breath and held Chu Xiong's hand tightly. Xiong, I want to ask you. Can you help Yan? He's willing to listen to you. Can you help him get out of it? From now on, you're the most important person in the Xiao family. Chu Xiong could tell that she was very serious and nervous. Even if the Xiao family was as rich as a country, Xiao Yan was more important to them than the Xiao family. She had a very good relationship with Xiao Yan. Even if Mother Xiao did nothing, she would still help Xiao Yan. The reason why Mother Xiao was so sincere and solemn in telling her about the past, and asking her for help was all because of her motherly love and respect for her. Chu Xiong smiled as she held her breath in anticipation. Mother Xiao, you told me not to treat you as an outsider. Why are you treating me as an outsider? Xiao Yan will definitely get better. Don't worry. Mother Xiao smiled with tears in her eyes. I know. I'm relieved. If you didn't treat him sincerely, how could he have changed so much? Xiang, thank you. Chapter 245. When Chu Xiong went back to school, she insisted on taking a taxi back and refused to let Mrs. Xiao send her home. Mrs. Xiao sat in the car and watched her leave. She had always thought that Chu Xiong kept a distance from the outside world, because she was afraid that her family would misunderstand that she wanted to curry favor with the Xiao family. Until today, when the two of them had a heart-to-heart chat, she realized that this girl was much smarter than she thought. She must have some plans to keep a distance from them, and it was inconvenient to let others know that she had a backer. After Mrs. Xiao knew that Chu Xiong was not that simple, not only did she not get tired of her, but she liked her even more. Their circle was a disguised world where the strong preyed on the weak, and people who were too pure and weak could not be kept. In the past, Chu Xiong did not have the opportunity to grow up because of the Chen family's poor environment. Now that she had entered their circle, she would definitely grow up to be stunning in the future. The lunch break was not long. When Chu Xiong returned to school, it was almost time for class. There was no one on campus. Chu Xiong walked quickly in the direction of the teaching building. When she passed by a flower bed, she was stopped by Chu Xian, who was waiting at the corner. Chu Xian walked out from the corner. She looked thinner and less energetic. She sized up Chu Xiang with malice in her eyes. Chu Xiang, you don't want to go home and rely on yourself. Is this what you rely on? She sneered disdainfully. The shirt under your school uniform and the shoes on your feet are all branded goods. Aren't you so poor that you can't eat? How do you have the money to buy branded goods? Of course, Chu Xiang dared to wear it for a legitimate reason. She tidied up her school uniform and said indifferently, Chu Xian, I didn't look for you these few days, but you came to me. In that case, Chu Xian instantly became vigilant. She only relaxed when she saw the surveillance camera not far away. Do you think the school is a place where you can do whatever you want? I was careless last time. I won't give you the same chance again. Chu Xiang looked up at her. She raised her eyebrows and smiled with her back facing the camera. Sister, why are you so silly? I heard that people in your circle pay attention to killing without spilling blood. I have learned a lot from them during this period of time. Will I deal with you personally like last time? Don't you feel that it's a lot quieter around you? Before Chu Xian could figure it out, Chu Xiang turned around and left. She had to go to class, and a good student like her would not be late. On the other hand, Chu Xian was already on tenterhooks. She didn't even dare to be alone in school, fearing that Chu Xiang would do something to her. Now that she suddenly heard that Chu Xiang had already made a move, how could she still have the mood to go to class? After her rebirth, she didn't treat herself as a real student. She didn't even apply for leave. She casually found a remote place to sit down, took out her phone, and kept scrolling through her moments. Then, she opened her friends' WeChat chat records one by one. From her WeChat moments, it could be seen that the friends she was familiar with were living a good life. They were shopping and having fun. Their lives were colorful. Looking at the chat logs again, when they first found out about the toad incident, they were all concerned about her and asked her what had happened. Later on, there was less and less news. Until now, no one had contacted her. She felt uneasy when she thought that the people around Chu Xiang had neglected her. What on earth did Chu Xiang do? Did they falsely accuse her of something outside? Did they all believe Chu Xiang? Otherwise, why would they alienate her in such a short time? Chu Xian had a guilty conscience. She couldn't feel at ease even with the slightest breeze. Just like last time, when Chu Xiang asked her to guess how she would deal with her next time, and when she would do it, she was on tenterhooks. She was afraid that Chu Xiang would seize the opportunity to do something to her. But this time, she came up with the idea of keeping a low profile. Other than going to school, she hid at home. She also didn't contact her friends to avoid being seen as a joke. Then, wouldn't it be natural for them to reduce their contact with her? But with Chu Xiang's actions, no matter how she thought about it, she felt that Chu Xiang was doing something to her. Yet, she didn't know what Chu Xiang had done. This kind of unknown was the most vexing. Chu Xian thought about what happened in the changing room. Chu Xiang's tone and expression at that time were still vivid in her mind. She wanted to run away, but she couldn't beat her. She wanted to call for help, but there was no one outside. She couldn't even struggle with all her might. That feeling was too hopeless. Chu Xiang pressed her chest, her face pale. Every time she thought about it, her chest felt tight and her breath was short. But although she was scared and angry at that time, she didn't pay much attention to it afterward. After all, a thug like Chu Xiang wouldn't do anything to her in front of others. As long as she wasn't alone, Chu Xiang wouldn't do anything to her. She was only worried that Chu Xiang had other tricks up her sleeve. Now that this trick was coming, she couldn't figure it out or see through it. This feeling was terrible. Chu Xian thought for a long time, and tried to recall what had happened during this period of time, but it was to no avail. She swiped the screen of her phone, and searched through her WeChat friends. Finally, she found someone who could be considered as her follower. My sister likes to go out and have fun recently. How is she getting along with everyone? Do they get along well? The follower immediately replied. Sister Xian Xian, Chu Xiang is getting along well with everyone. She's so poisonous. She knows everything. It's obvious that it's the first time she's seen many things, like riding a horse or playing golf. She can play with everyone after learning for a while. There are some things that I don't even know. Chu Xian's expression was a little ugly. She knew that Chu Xiang had a strong learning ability in her previous life, but she didn't know that it was this strong. It was no wonder that Chu Xiang's knowledge and temperament were so good when she returned home from university in her previous life. In this life, she deliberately made her parents hate Chu Xiang and didn't hire a teacher to teach Chu Xiang. In the end, Chu Xiang could actually learn something when she went out with her friends. She really didn't miss any opportunity. The follower didn't wait for her reply. He thought that she might want to hear some bad things, so he said, "But I still don't like her. Why is she pretending? She looks so noble and virtuous. She says that she has to rely on her own hard work to earn money. She doesn't want the Chu group anymore and will leave it all to you. If she's really so noble, she should leave the Chu family. Why is she still in the Chu family?" Chu Xian was stunned and hurriedly dialed the number. "Are you serious? Chu Xiang doesn't want the Chu group anymore?" "Yes. Sister Xian, many people heard it. She even emphasized it twice. She's just pretending. After she did that, I heard that she went overboard. She didn't return to the Chen family and didn't acknowledge her parents. She was just waiting to snatch the Chu group. Oh right, she also learned a lot and changed her dreams. She wants to fight for a higher position." "Huh, it sounds nice, but isn't she just greedy for vanity? Sister Xian, you don't have to care about her. People like her won't have a good ending." However, Zixuan didn't relax at all. What was so strange about Chu Xiang wanting to fight for a higher position? In her previous life, Chu Xiang became the chairman of the Chu group. But why didn't Chu Xiang want the Chu group? In front of so many people, wouldn't she be slapping herself in the face if she inherited the Chu group in the future? Chu Xian didn't dare to look at the 17-year-old Chu Xiang at all. She hung up the phone and frowned. She felt that something was wrong. Chu Xiang seemed to be getting farther and farther away from the Chu family. This was her original goal. If she could continue to develop like this, she would definitely be able to inherit the Chu group in the future and become the only eldest sister recognized by the Chu family. But why couldn't she be happy at all? Instead, she couldn't let go of her worries. Although the follower's family background was much worse than hers, he looked like an ordinary person. He was also a rich second generation who grew up pampered. Chu Xian hung up the phone just like that. It was as if she was looking down on him. The follower cursed a few times in a low voice, but he didn't dare to ignore Chu Xian. The Chu group was her company's biggest client. He couldn't afford to offend them. In the face of Chu Xian, a fake who was doted on, he had to support her even if he didn't want to. However, he wasn't willing to let Chu Xian have an easy time. After thinking about it, he sent a photo of the wound on Chu Xiang's arm to Chu Xian. "Sister Xian, there's one more thing. Chu Xiang was beaten up too badly in the Chen family. Everyone knows about it. Now many people sympathize with her. They think that she suffered this injury on your behalf. You, Mr. Chu, and Mrs. Chu are all very vicious. You don't look what you do." Although these words were a complaint, it still sounded like she was scolding Chu Xian. Chu Xian's anger was stuck in her chest, and her face darkened. "When did this happen? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" The follower replied very innocently, "It's all when we were having fun and chatting. There's not much truth in it. Sister Xian, you wanted to be alone before, so I didn't disturb you. Now that you asked, I told you everything I could think of. Actually, there are quite a lot of things. It's not like I didn't meet Chu Xiang every time, and I've forgotten some things." "You've forgotten some things?" Did that mean that Chu Xiang had done a lot of other things? When Chu Xiang first came to the Chu family, she was clearly so childish. Now she was actually like a fish in water. She really knew how to pretend. She had misjudged her back then. If she had known that Chu Xiang wasn't a simple girl, she wouldn't have exposed the bloodline in advance and brought Chu Xiang back. Chu Xian regretted it. Her heart was in turmoil. She wanted to be in the limelight. She didn't want to be like now, being talked about behind her back and being treated badly in front of her face. She looked at the photo of Chu Xiang's wound, and her face was a little pale. If she hadn't carried the wrong person back then, she would be the one who was beaten up like this. There was also something moldy in the food. Just thinking about it made her want to vomit. However, the more she thought about it, the more she didn't believe that Chu Xiang would abandon the Chu family. After suffering for more than 10 years, who wouldn't be tempted when there was suddenly a family property of 10 billion yuan? Would she say no? It must be that Chu Xiang deliberately went out to gain sympathy. Recently, Chu Xiang was too good at gaining sympathy. Chu Xian frowned tightly. She felt that she couldn't ignore Chu Xiang and let Chu Xiang talk nonsense everywhere in the circle. She wanted to keep a low profile and let everyone ignore her for a period of time. In the future, the news about her would naturally fade away. If Chu Xiang said something from time to time, whether it was true or not, everyone's impression of her would definitely get worse and worse. How could she let that happen? Even if she had lived for 40 years, she wouldn't be happy to be suppressed by a 17-year-old girl now. Chu Xian thought about it for the whole class. The bell woke her up. She also made up her mind. Without saying anything, she called the driver to pick her up and went home directly. She never thought that Chu Xiang could be so troublesome. It seemed that the matter was getting bigger and bigger. Now only their peers liked to talk about it. Not many elders knew about it. If it continued, most of the elders would know about it, and she would really lose face. Moreover, she had to tell these things to her parents first. She couldn't let them know about it from others. It was very important to have first impressions. She must take advantage of this first. The invisible heaven and earth mirror had been floating not far away from Chu Xian, and followed her home. Chu Xiang seemed to be listening carefully in the classroom, but in fact, she had been looking at the image of the heaven and earth mirror in her divine sense. There was no spiritual energy here, so she couldn't cultivate. However, for a natal magic weapon like the heaven and earth mirror, she could use it freely without consuming spiritual energy. It was quite convenient for her to cheat. Chu Xian returned home in the middle of class. Mother Chu was naturally very surprised. She quickly walked to Chu Xian, grabbed her hand and looked up and down. She said anxiously, "Xian, why are you back? Are you not feeling well?" Tears fell from Chu Xian's eyes before she could speak. "Mom, my sister. She has been talking bad about us. I'm sorry. I thought she was me at first, so I didn't ask much. Today, I found out that she has returned to you. Now all our classmates in our school have been mistreated by us. The Chu family has let her down." "What?" Mother Chu widened her eyes in surprise. "I brought her back and took good care of her. I even sent her to such a good school. How did I mistreat her? She didn't learn to be good at stealing and scheming everywhere. I haven't even taught her a lesson yet. How dare she talk to others?" Chu Xian said sadly. "Maybe there are more gossips in her original place, so she has developed this kind of character. People who don't know have to pay attention to the school. These days, I always feel that a lot of people are looking at me with strange expressions. I asked someone and found out that they are all greedy for money and drove her out of the house. Mom, I've been speaking up for her in school. I'm afraid that others will misunderstand her, so I always speak up for her in front of her classmates. But she doesn't appreciate it every time. She even said that I framed her for everything. I can't stay in school anymore." Chu Xian cried again. This time, she cried very pitifully. "Mom, I was the one who suggested to live in school first. I don't know why she applied for it first. Then, she turned around and accused me of occupying the house. I feel terrible. I helped her hide a lot of things from you and didn't tell you. But now, she's making so much trouble that I can't stay in school anymore. Mom, what should I do?" Mother Chu felt her temples throbbing. The fire in her heart was burning. Xian, don't cry. I'll go find her and see what she wants. She's too outrageous. It's only been 3 months, and she's already exposed her true nature. She didn't even think about her surname. If others laugh at us, won't they laugh at her too? Chu Xian stopped her. "Mom, don't go to school. Now everyone in school is biased against you. You don't deserve to be a mother. You'll definitely be bullied if you go. Don't go." Mother Chu was stunned. "I'm biased against the whole school?" Chu Xian nodded. "Mom, you stopped Chu Xiang's card and wanted her to go home. She's eating steamed buns in the school cafeteria. I gave her a card, but she didn't want it. She even scolded me and told me to stay away from her. I feel terrible. Every time I bring food, she'll eat it in class. Today, I realized that you only love me and don't care about Chu Xiang. You let her eat rice and vegetables. Chu Xiang doesn't dare to go home. She's afraid that you'll ground her and not let her eat. Eating steamed buns in front of so many people in school was no different from eating rice and vegetables. Mother Chu's face turned red with anger. She did it on purpose. She's always been eating whatever we eat at home. Now she's going out to ruin our reputation. This idiot. You stay at home. I'll go find your form teacher and bring her back. Chu Xian pulled her back and looked at her awkwardly. It was as if she wanted to say something but couldn't. Mother Chu knew that it was nothing good. She looked at her with a sullen face. What else did she do? Xian, don't hide it from me if you don't want to make me angry. If you told me what happened at school earlier, she wouldn't have been tortured for so long. Chu Xian said very loudly. Mom, I saw that Chu Xiang's new things are not cheap. She didn't go out to work. Recently, she especially likes to go out with some rich boys. I asked her. She said that she can't accept gifts casually. She told me not to meddle in other people's business. Mother Chu's vision turned black. She raised a hand and pressed it to her forehead. She was trembling with anger. What's the difference between this and being a kept woman? She's embarrassing the Chu family. She may be shameless, but the Chu family is. Mom, are you okay? Sit down on the sofa. Chu Xian helped Mother Chu to sit down and poured her a glass of water. She looked worried. Mom, don't be angry. You're not in good health. I shouldn't have told you this. Tell me what else is going on. I thought that she would be more honest in school. Who knew that she would cause so much trouble? Chu Xian, you have to know what's important. I don't know what she's done. How can I control her? Mother Chu was angry with Chu Xian. We let you stay because we like you. You don't owe Chu Xiang anything. If you help her hide everything because of guilt, you'll hurt her and the Chu family. Chu Xian lowered her head and bit her lip. Mom, it's nothing. She was just like at home. She didn't talk to anyone. Nothing special. But after she fell into the water, I don't know why, but she seemed to have changed. She went to the locker room and cut my uniform. She even drew on my face with a pen. What? Mother Chu was furious. She cut your uniform again? Why didn't you do it? Chu Xian cried until she was out of breath. I didn't dare. Wang Shasha dragged me to the teaching office to look for the headmaster. However, the headmaster had surveillance cameras and didn't capture Chu Xiang entering the locker room. Some students in the class saw Chu Xiang somewhere else. I don't have any evidence. Chu Xiang said that I directed and acted out my own story to frame her. The teachers and students all believed it. Mom, I don't know what to do. I can't. That Chu Xiang even hit me in the locker room. She drew on my face with a pen as if she wanted to blind me. Mom, I'm really afraid of her. I don't dare to mention that incident. This was something that Mother Chu didn't know at all. Chu Xiang stole things, bullied her sister, talked back to her parents, ran away from home, hit Chu Xian, asked for gifts from others, and even badmouthed her family. She was simply a bad girl. No matter how hard she tried, she wouldn't change. How could she have given birth to such a daughter? Mother Chu was so angry that her chest heaved violently. She collapsed on the sofa and closed her eyes. Her hands hung limply by her side. Chu Xian was shocked. She shouted, Mom fainted. Someone, send her to the hospital. A maid ran over. Seeing Mother Chu's condition, she immediately went to get the first aid kit. She found a bottle and placed it under Mother Chu's nose. Then, she applied some essential oil to her temples. 2 minutes later, Mother Chu slowly opened her eyes. She thought of Chu Xiang and was furious. She believed Chu Xian's words completely. That was because Chu Xiang didn't respect her at all in the hospital. She kept insulting her and even said that she should take back her feelings for her. She was very cold. If Chu Xiang treated her this way, she must be even worse to Chu Xian. However, after fainting, she was a little tired. She calmed down a little and stood up. I'm not feeling well. I'm going back to my room to rest. Xian, don't cry. Mom won't let you suffer. Mother Chu was stunned. She seemed to have said this several times, but Chu Xian was still wrong time and time again. Seeing that Chu Xian's eyes were red from crying and seemed to be a little scared, Mother Chu felt very sad. The family of 3 used to be very happy. How did it become like this? Her daughter had always been proud and confident. Why was she so scared of Chu Xiang now? If only Chu Xiang wasn't her daughter. Why was there such a troublemaker in the family? Mother Chu went back to her bedroom in annoyance and lay on the bed. Now that she had calmed down, she was very tired. She always felt that Chu Xiang was annoying everywhere, and Chu Xian kept hiding things from her which annoyed her. She should ask the teachers about what was going on in the school. She called Chu Xiang and Chu Xian's head teacher. As soon as she said hello, the head teacher asked her if she had asked for leave for Chu Xian. She also asked about Chu Xian's discomfort and whether it was serious. Only then did Mother Chu know that Chu Xian didn't even ask for leave. Even if she ran out of the school and didn't have time to ask for leave, she could have told the teacher on the way. Mother Chu faintly felt that something was wrong. Was Chu Xian influenced by Chu Xiang? Why did she become so unreliable? Mother Chu knew that Chu Xian was a little uncomfortable, so she began to ask about the cutting of the school uniform and what happened to Chu Xiang in the school recently. The head teacher had wanted to communicate with Chu Xiang's parents for a long time. Now that Mother Chu wanted to know, she immediately told Mother Chu everything she knew in detail. In the end, she persuaded Mother Chu to be nicer to Chu Xiang, saying that the child was very good and sensible. It was the first time that Mother Chu heard other people praise Chu Xiang. She was not used to it for a while. Chu Xian had been in this school for more than 2 years. When she talked with the head teacher before, the head teacher only said very good. This time, the head teacher praised Chu Xiang several times in a row. Mother Chu could tell that the head teacher liked Chu Xiang very much. Mother Chu suddenly thought that no matter how sensible Chu Xian was, she was only a teenager. She had been bullied by Chu Xiang so many times. Would she be angry and complain to her? Would she deliberately make Chu Xiang bad in the school? Mother Chu asked the head teacher. Teacher, how are Chu Xiang and Chu Xian getting along in the school? Did they have any conflicts? This was not good. No matter how the 2 sisters quarreled, it was a family matter. The head teacher thought for a while and said, they don't like each other very much, but they have their own friends. They are all good. The school is mainly a place for learning. Learning is the most important thing. I have to praise Chu Xiang in this regard. She has made great progress recently. All the teachers like her very much. But Chu Xian is not very energetic recently. Sometimes she will be absent-minded in class. Did she not have a good rest? The more Mother Chu talked with her, the more she felt that she liked Chu Xiang more. On the contrary, she seemed to have no feelings for Chu Xian. Mother Chu's anger turned into confusion. Didn't the head teacher say that Chu Xiang was not very comfortable in the school last month? Mother Chu suddenly remembered the last time she saw Chu Xiang in the hospital. Chu Xiang was very different from before. So, Chu Xiang had been pretending all this while? What about now? Was she pretending too? Chapter 246. When Chu Xiang's mother felt that something was wrong, Chu Xian didn't stay idle. She chatted with her valet for a while. Her valet thought about what she said. Yes, why didn't Chu Xiang work hard these 2 days? She even bought a new pair of shoes. It's not cheap. Where did she get the money? Could it be that she was too inexperienced and was coaxed by a rich man? Although Chu Xiang was skinny, her face was still quite pretty. Judging from the situation during this period of time, this was very possible. In the evening, the news that Chu Xiang was kept as a mistress spread. When Chu Xiang's roommate found out about it, Chu Xiang was asleep. She hurriedly got out of bed and woke Chu Xiang up. She showed the phone to Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang, look. I don't know who is the one who made this. It's too much. Chu Xiang glanced at it and frowned. Today, Chu Xian stopped me on the playground and asked me who bought my clothes and shoes. I ignored her. Except for her, no one mentioned it to me. Chu Xian? She framed you again. What should we do now? We can't let others misunderstand. It's so unpleasant. Her roommate had lived with Chu Xiang for so many years, and had even gone out to play together many times. Their relationship was already very good, and she was sincerely worried about her. Chu Xiang smiled and patted her arm. It's okay. After a long time, This kind of rumor will naturally disappear. She wanted to frame me with this kind of words. She could only take advantage of the time when people are not familiar with me. Maybe she doesn't want me to make more friends. It's okay. There's no need to be friends with people who easily believe in rumors. Those who are willing to believe me will naturally believe me. Her roommate sighed. There used to be a phrase, Jiangjiang's life is full of setbacks. I have never understood its meaning. Now that I see you, I feel that this phrase is particularly suitable for you. Why are you so troublesome? Chu Xiang hugged the quilt and turned around. She leaned against the wall and hugged her knees. Maybe I won't be so troublesome if I'm not the daughter of the Chu family. In fact, I have a dream. I hope that I'm not the daughter of the Chu family. If I really have some good luck, then let me realize this dream. The dormitory quieted down. No one knew how to comfort her. After a while, one of her roommates muttered, "You should go home and complain. Crying children get milk. Complain more and let your parents know that Chu Xian is not a good person." The dormitory manager's family was poor, so she had seen a lot more people than them. She shook her head and said, "If a child you like complains, it's innocent. If a child you don't like complains, it's a troublemaker." Actually, there weren't that many sensible parents, and there were even fewer who weren't biased. Anyway, it wasn't the only child in the family. I had never seen anyone who wasn't biased. In the Chu family, Chu Xiang made the first move to gain the upper hand. My parents are jealous of Chu Xiang because of her infidelity. It will take time to change that. Chu Xiang lowered her head and rested her chin on her knees. She sighed softly. "Forget it. I don't want to change." His roommate said, "Those are your biological parents. Chu Xian is just an outsider. Why should we let it go? You should snatch your parents back." Chu Xiang was silent for a moment. Who can't live without them? Even if they're my parents and they don't want to care about me, I don't have to snatch them away, right? I've been living happily on campus. I don't want to go back. Previously, when she wished that she wasn't the daughter of the Chu family, her three roommates thought that she was just saying it out of anger. Now that they saw that she really felt that way, they felt that it wasn't worth it. The three of them came over and sat by her bed. When they saw her new shoes, the dormitory manager asked, "By the way, how did you buy those shoes? Explain it. Don't let some people be blinded." Chu Xiang followed her gaze. "Oh, I bought them when I was shopping with Yunnan and Dong Fei. The shop assistant said that these shoes are very comfortable. My hands and feet have some problems, especially my feet. They hurt when I walk or run. I tried them on and thought that they were good, so I bought them. I borrowed money from Yunnan." She smiled. "Thank you for inviting me out. I've really learned a lot. Yunnan lent me money before, but I didn't want it. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to repay it. Now that I think about it, I won't be able to earn much money even if I work for 10 years after graduating from university. Money makes money. I borrowed a lot of money from Yunnan because I want to earn more money. When the time comes, I can repay her money and have more living expenses." "I see. You're right. We've been in school and haven't interacted with them. Some of them make a lot of money by investing in movies. You worked as a waiter on weekends. You didn't make any money and it was meaningless. It's really not good. Have you thought about how to make money?" Chu Xiang nodded and smiled. "Yes, but I'll keep it a secret first. I'll tell you when I really make money. If I lose money, I'll think of other ways to make money." "Chu Xiang, you seem to have become bolder. But I like it. Ha ha ha." The atmosphere in the dormitory became better, and they were all laughing. They didn't have any concept of making money or losing money. Moreover, Chu Xiang wasn't really from a poor family. The Chu family was so rich that it wasn't a big deal to lose money, so they weren't worried. Meanwhile, the news that Chu Xiang had bought shoes because she had a foot problem in the Chen family spread out that very night. There was also the rumor that Chu Xian was the one who spread it. Chu Xiang might have thought it through and borrowed money to earn money. There were also many second-generation rich people who were just onlookers. The matter of the Chu family's real and fake daughters was like a serial drama. Every once in a while, something new would happen. They all treated it as entertainment. In this entertainment, the Chu couple and Chu Xian's image collapsed, and they became a joke. Chu Xiang, on the other hand, seemed to be somewhat inspirational. People like Chu Xiang who suddenly fell into the upper-class circle were either blinded by wealth and became useless, or they took advantage of the situation to learn real skills. From ancient times until now, there were more examples of people blinded by wealth than real skills. In fact, they didn't have any bad intentions towards Chu Xiang. Most of them were curious to see what would happen to her in the end. Chu Xiang slept very late, but she still woke up early the next day. The dormitory leader found that she was looking at stock charts on the internet and some business news. Then she took out the wrong questions to do the questions. As soon as the classroom door opened, Chu Xiang went in to do the questions and memorize the text. Some of the students who were just onlookers came one after another. When they saw Chu Xiang working so hard, they were embarrassed to talk to her about it. They didn't know why, but they felt that it was a bit insulting to ask her about the rumors. Anyway, they didn't say it out loud when they saw her. They even felt that they were a bit lazy and should study harder. Chu Xian tried her best to maintain a natural appearance in school. When someone tried to talk to her about the rumors, she righteously said that it was impossible. Her sister wasn't that kind of person. She didn't say anything to mislead others. Many people felt that it might not be her this time, but someone else's guess. However, when the class teacher came to class, she criticized Chu Xian. She said seriously, "Chu Xian, you haven't been concentrating on your studies recently. You didn't answer the questions in class well. Also, for the math test yesterday, you went home without asking for leave. This kind of behavior is not allowed in the future." The class teacher then said to the class, "Don't think that you're in the second year of high school, and that the college entrance examination is very far away. Time will pass in the blink of an eye. From now on, you have to race against time. You can't slack off. The midterm exam is coming soon. None of you want to be moved to the next class, right? Then work hard. Otherwise, you will have to adapt to the new class and it will affect your studies." After Chu Xian's rebirth, she had never been criticized by the teacher because she was very good at pretending. The main reason was that she was already 40 years old. Being criticized by the teacher in front of the whole class made her feel very embarrassed. She felt as if the whole class was laughing at her. If the class teacher only criticized her, it would have been fine. However, in the previous math test, Chu Xiang had scored full marks. The homeroom teacher took out the test paper and smiled. "Today, I have to give Chu Xiang a special compliment. Although the test paper wasn't very difficult, it mainly tested the knowledge learned in the past month. However, there were still a few questions that were prone to mistakes. Many students lost marks. Chu Xiang was able to score full marks because she did the questions carefully. She also studied seriously during this period. Students, you all know that Chu Xiang's learning environment wasn't good before. When she first came to our class, she couldn't keep up with the subjects. She also couldn't understand the foreign teacher's class. However, her learning attitude during this period of time is visible to everyone. Now, she can answer the teacher's questions in the foreign teacher's class, and even scored full marks on the math test. I hope that students can learn from student Chu Xiang and use the best learning attitude to take the college entrance examination." The students were shocked that Chu Xiang scored full marks. After thinking about it, they felt that it was right. This was a math test, and it tested the knowledge learned in the past month. Who could compare with Chu Xiang's concentration on learning in the past month? Moreover, she could usually draw inferences about other problems very quickly. Everyone knew that. At this moment, no one questioned how she took the test. They all felt that she was amazing from the bottom of their hearts. After everyone was done marveling at Chu Xiang's ability, they all thought of Chu Xian. The two sisters were a family. There were a lot of things going on recently. Everyone talked about them the most. In the past, Chu Xian's grades were average in their class. However, with the halo of a kind school beauty, everyone was very happy with her. But now, even if there was no evidence, the students more or less felt that Chu Xian might not be really kind. Chu Xiang's life was so difficult, and it was very likely that Chu Xian was behind it. Didn't the teacher say that? When there were no clues, they would look at the established beneficiaries. In the end, the one who benefited the most from Chu Xiang's accident was Chu Xian. The students no longer had a good impression of her. Coupled with the disgusting toad photo and the speculation that she had constipation, everyone vaguely disliked her. Now that they looked at her and Chu Xiang, many of them felt like laughing at her. Now many people really felt that the Chu sisters were quite interesting. The news of one of them being criticized and the other being praised in class spread all over their WeChat moments before class ended. After class, Dong Fei was the first to rush to their class. She pulled Chu Xiang, Yunnan and Yang Xueqing out and ran to a secluded place before showing them her WeChat moments with a smile. Now many people looked down on Chu Xian. Xiang, do you still remember that time when you were wrongly accused at the banquet? It was that time when Chu Xian fell down and was wrongly accused of pushing you. At that time, many people saw it and accused you. This is one of them. Look at her WeChat moments. She mentioned that incident. At that time, you really didn't push her, and Chu Xian did fall down by herself. She suspects that she misunderstood you at that time. Look at the comments below. Most of them are on your side. Chu Xiang took a few glances. It was true. In order to maintain her innocent and kind image, Chu Xian didn't accuse Chu Xiang at that time. She even anxiously said that she fell down by herself several times. However, she cried very sadly at that time. Everyone thought that she was thinking about the big picture and didn't want the Chu family to be embarrassed in front of outsiders. Chu Xian had done this many times, and this scheme had succeeded every time. Who asked everyone to have such a bad first impression of Chu Xiang? However, Chu Xian certainly didn't expect that things would turn out like this. Now Chu Xiang's reputation was improving little by little, but Chu Xian's image collapsed. At this time, people were not biased when thinking about the past. Thinking about it carefully, it was really possible that Chu Xiang didn't do it. When someone mentioned the banquet, others also mentioned other things. This kind of gossip was loved by people everywhere. Slowly it spread. Chu Xiang was amused. With my popularity in WeChat moments, can I be regarded as the top in WeChat moments? I can attract everyone's attention in 2 or 3 cases. Seeing that she had completely let go of the past, Dong Fei pulled her to sit down on the stone bench and laughed. It's good to be the top. Maybe you can get a few fans. Fans of this quality, one is enough for you. Chu Xiang seriously wondered. Don't I have fans? Aren't the 3 of you my fans? Ha ha ha, yes, we are your fans. If someone bullies you in the future, you have to straighten your back. Don't lose face for your fans. The 4 girls laughed together. Looking at them from afar, they were in a good mood. The head teacher led Mrs. Chu to the teaching building. Mrs. Chu happened to see them and stopped. The head teacher was about to call Chu Xiang, but she was stopped by her. She looked at Chu Xiang in disbelief. Was that girl smiling happily her daughter? Her daughter always lowered her head and spoke in a low voice, which made her feel unhappy. Why did she change so much after not coming home for a while? Mrs. Chu? The head teacher was confused. Aren't you looking for Chu Xiang? Yes, I am. Mrs. Chu walked towards Chu Xiang and asked, who are the girls beside Chu Xiang? They look like good friends. Is Chu Xiang popular in class? The head teacher smiled politely and said, the chubby one on the left is Yang Xueqing, the student committee member of our class. The one on the right with short hair is Yunnan, and the one with long hair is Dong Fei from the next class. They eat together and are very close. The students in class are also very friendly to Chu Xiang. Many students from other classes, and even from other grades like Chu Xiang, they play with her after class. There's also Chu Xiang's roommates. Her 3 roommates are all freshmen, but they get along very well. They even go out to play on weekends. Chu Xiang is very popular in school. Mrs. Chu listened to these words and felt like she was in a dream. Was this really her daughter? She couldn't help but ask. Didn't you tell me last month that Chu Xiang couldn't adapt to school life? Since she drowned last time, Chu Xiang has changed a lot. It's like she almost died. She knows what to cherish and what not. The head teacher sighed and was silent for a moment before saying, I didn't want to, but Chu Xiang is really a good seedling. I think she has a very high IQ and is a talent in learning. I don't want her talent to be buried, so I said a few more words. Mrs. Chu Xiang and Chu Xian's identities are a little awkward. They don't get along well, and each thinks that the other wants to harm them. In fact, there have been a few bad things between them. Mrs. Chu certainly didn't like to hear this. She frowned and said, "What happened in the locker room? Has the school investigated it?" The school failed to investigate it. This was the school's negligence. They couldn't explain it to the parents, but the locker room incident was too special. The head teacher glanced at Mrs. Chu and took out her phone to show her the photo of the toad. "Mrs. Chu, the school didn't investigate it because they didn't think it was necessary. Chu Xiang has an alibi, a witness, and the surveillance camera can prove her innocence. As for Chu Xian's drawing, we asked the best art teacher in our school to test it out. We even consulted an artist. They all took 15 minutes to draw a toad that looked like a living creature. It's impossible. So there's only one possibility, and that is Chu Xian made a sticker and put it on herself. Mrs. Chu, even if the artist can draw it, no one can draw it so well." If Chu Xian struggled and shook her head, "Right? How are we going to investigate this matter?" Chu Xian insisted that Chu Xiang did it. After the surveillance camera was shown, she didn't see clearly because the person was wearing a mask. Why did she insist that Chu Xiang was the culprit before? Maybe my words didn't sound good. I'm sorry, but Chu Xiang is too likable. I hope she can have a good future. I heard that you and Mr. Chu have plans to stop her from going to school. Chu Xiang has a high IQ. I hope you can reconsider and don't hinder her studies." This was the first time Mrs. Chu saw this picture of the toad. Her face was a little ugly, and she hadn't come back to her senses. She only knew the gist of the matter before. What's the big deal about a random drawing with an eyeliner pen? But now that she saw it, she began to suspect Chu Xian. This picture didn't look like it was drawn casually at all. It was too realistic. The dense bumps on the toad's body were especially prominent, as if pus could flow out at any time. Chu Xiang used to be an ordinary poor student. How could she have the money to learn how to draw? Even if she learned how to draw, could she draw it so vividly? If she had this ability, she wouldn't have to work so hard to set up a stall in the Chen family. She could even make money by drawing illustrations. Who would believe that this was drawn by Chu Xiang? It looked too much like a sticker. There was no other possibility. Mrs. Chu looked away, feeling a little disgusted. She frowned and said, "Chu Xian can't be so stupid. She can't draw such a realistic picture in a few minutes. Didn't she think of it? Why would she use this to frame Chu Xiang?" The homeroom teacher looked at her. They're all teenagers. They might not have thought it through. Besides, maybe she's succeeded so many times that she thought she would succeed this time. "Mrs. Chu, you have to teach your children early. It's okay to fight when they're young, but it might not be the case when they grow up. I'm going overboard with my words. I just want the children to be well." These words were simply saying that Chu Xiang was the one who did all the dirty things. It was obvious that the homeroom teacher had a good impression of Chu Xiang. Chu Xian had been in the homeroom teacher's class for 2.5 years, but it couldn't compare to Chu Xiang's 3 months. Mrs. Chu suddenly doubted her judgment. She thought about so many things in the past. If she thought that Chu Xiang shouldn't be so stupid, then Chu Xiang shouldn't be so stupid to be exposed every time. Everything that had happened between the two children was incomprehensible. Mrs. Chu didn't want to think about it anymore. She thought of the homeroom teacher's words and hurriedly explained, "It's not that we don't want her to go to school. We just felt that she wasn't used to school after 3 months. She also came in last place in the monthly exam. We thought it would be better to take a break from school temporarily and hire a teacher to teach her at home. We want to wait until she learns well in all aspects and adapts to her current life before we find her another school of similar quality. She's our biological daughter. How can we hinder her studies? It's not like we have a grudge against her." Mrs. Chu's words were reasonable. The homeroom teacher nodded. "It might be a misunderstanding. You don't have to be too strict with Chu Xiang. Parents and children need to communicate, especially in your situation. If you can let your child understand your intentions and care, she can also open up to you and tell you about her unfamiliarity. This way you can slowly get used to it. You're right. We did not communicate well. I realized that I didn't understand many things clearly. Mrs. Chu was in a bad mood. Just then the bell rang. She stopped in her tracks. I'd better not disturb Chu Xiang's class. I'll look for her after school. I'll go back first. Please take care of the two children. Mrs. Chu, don't worry. Mrs. Chu took another look at Chu Xiang and quickly left the school. She was very upset. She felt that things were not what she had expected. She asked the driver to rush home as soon as possible. As soon as she got home, she called all the servants in the house and asked them seriously about what had happened at home during this period. She asked them what they had seen and heard every time Chu Xiang got into trouble, what Chu Xiang had done in private, what Chu Xiang had done in private, what Chu Xian had done in private, and whether the two children had contacted them in private. Seeing that she was so serious, the servants did not hide anything, nor did they lie. In fact, Chu Xian did everything herself. She did not instruct them, so they did not know anything. But even so, Mrs. Chu still felt that something was wrong from their words. Every time Chu Xiang bullied Chu Xian, the two of them were alone. If Chu Xian did not want to be bullied, why would she be alone with Chu Xiang? It was the same at school. There were so many people in the school. As long as she wanted to, Chu Xiang could not find a chance to bully Chu Xian. In the past, she had thought that Chu Xian wanted to get along well with her sister. However, after the toad incident, she suddenly felt that Chu Xian might not be so kind and forgiving towards her sister. Now that she thought about it, she felt a little suspicious. Also, Chu Xian sent a WeChat message to the servant in the kitchen, asking if Chu Xiang had arrived home. Why? If Chu Xian wanted to know, shouldn't she ask her? She was at home almost every day. Why did she secretly ask a servant? It seemed to be the place where Chu Xiang fell into the water. It was Wang Shasha who sent Chu Xian back. When she came back, she told her that Chu Xiang had pushed Chu Xian into the water to kill her. She was so angry at that time. Now that she thought about it, did Chu Xian deliberately bring Wang Shasha back? Thinking of this, she felt very uncomfortable. No one would suspect that their child was so scheming and deceiving them. She called Mr. Chu. Just as she was about to talk about these things, she heard Mr. Chu say angrily, "Have you arrived at school? Bring Chu Xiang and Chu Xian home. Because of what they did, we have become the laughing stock of Beijing." Chapter 247. Mrs. Chu was stunned by Mr. Chu's words. What joke? What's going on? They're in class. I'll go home first. Mr. Chu was very annoyed. Now people are saying that we're crazy. We mistreat our own daughter and don't give her food. We even cover up for the bad guy who beat her and treat a fake daughter like a treasure. I don't know what the two of them are doing outside. Hu Pao, hurry up and bring them home. Ask them properly. I have a client to fight for. I'll go home tonight. Wait, who do you listen to? This is fake, right? Don't give her food? Who beat her? Mrs. Chu's eyes widened. When she looked up, she saw a servant who looked guilty. Her heart skipped a beat. Was it true? Mr. Chu said angrily. I'll send you a photo. It said that Chu Xiang was beaten up. The people who beat her are members of the Chun family. She's also malnourished. She doesn't come home because she's afraid that we'll put her in confinement. If the assistant of the client hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't have known what was going on. Don't ask. Go and pick her up. Mr. Chu hung up after saying that. Mrs. Chu looked at the guilty servant and understood what had happened. Didn't you bring Chu Xiang food when she was grounded? The servant hurriedly said, Madam, my sister stole something and she refused to admit it. Mr. Chu was so angry that he didn't give her food, so I didn't bring her food. And then? She was in confinement 5 or 6 times. You didn't bring her food? Mrs. Chu looked at her in disbelief. The servant lowered her head. I thought Mr. Chu and Madam meant that they didn't give her food. After all, what she did was too infuriating. Mrs. Chu was so angry that she felt dizzy. No matter how infuriating she is, she's still my daughter. You have no right to lecture her. The neighbor was so angry that he didn't give her food, but when did he mention it? Didn't I tell her to go back to her room and reflect on herself? When did I stop her from eating? The servant felt that Mrs. Chu was going to blame her, so she was unhappy. Madam, you didn't ask before. I thought that was what you meant. Indeed, if she cared about her daughter, she would be able to find out that her daughter had not eaten. In the end, wasn't it because she, as a mother, was not attentive? Being rebuked by the servant, Mrs. Chu was so angry that her heart hurt. Her face turned pale, and she covered her heart and shouted, "Pack up your things and get out of here. Pay your salary. I can't afford to use people like you." The servants of the Chu family had a high salary, and working here was a good job. However, there had been all kinds of things happening in the past few months. Last time, Chu Xian had lost something and even searched them. This time she was scolded again. She was not comfortable at all in the Chu family. The maid was young and couldn't stand being bullied. She rolled her eyes and threw the apron on her body to the ground. "Do you think I'm willing to do it? With your house in such a mess, you might get into trouble if you continue to work here. You, get out of here." Mrs. Chu's face turned even paler. She hurriedly asked someone to bring her some medicine. After a while, she asked the driver to take her to school again. This time, she told the head teacher in advance that there was an emergency at home, and she had to take Chu Xiang and Chu Xian home. Chu Xiang saw Mrs. Chu in school before. She also sent the universal mirror to follow Mrs. Chu. Naturally, she knew what was going on. As for Chu Xian, she thought that Chu Xiang's mother was going to get even with Chu Xiang, because she had just complained to the head teacher. In fact, it was almost the same. Chu Xian complained because she felt that the things outside could not be hidden for long. It was better for her to come out and reduce the suspicion on herself, so that her parents could punish Chu Xiang. However, Chu Xian didn't expect that the head teacher had such a good impression of Chu Xiang, and said so much to Mrs. Chu. Sometimes, the teacher's words could enlighten people. When Chu Xiang was in the hospital, she had planted the seed of suspicion in Chu Xian's mother's heart. The teacher's words undoubtedly fertilized the seed, making Chu Xian's mother suspect Chu Xian again. They packed up their school bags and went out. They saw Mrs. Chu sitting in the back seat of the car, waiting for them. Chu Xian got into the back seat first and smiled sweetly. "Mom, why did you come here in person? You could have just called me if you needed anything." Chu Xiang went directly to the front passenger seat and sat down with a cold face. She didn't even say hello. Mrs. Chu didn't answer Chu Xiang. She frowned and looked at Chu Xiang. "Did we mistreat you when you were out there? The servant at home didn't send you food. She acted on her own initiative. I just found out about it and fired her." Chu Xiang said, "Oh, I didn't tell anyone that you mistreated me. My classmates guessed it when they saw my medical report." "What's wrong with your medical report?" "Malnutrition." Chu Xiang's calm words shocked Mrs. Chu. She leaned over and grabbed Chu Xiang's arm. "Malnutrition? That's impossible." Chu Xiang pulled her arm away and looked back at her. "Why is it impossible? It's the doctor's examination. How can it be fake? Chu Xian's parents often didn't give me food. They beat me when they were in a bad mood. When I was sick, they made me go out to set up a stall. Of course I'm not in good health. I don't know what kind of life I'm living after I returned to the Chu family, but I've been taking care of myself recently. I'm much better now." Chu Xian's face changed. What did she mean by her parents? This was too hurtful. Her parents mistreated Chu Xiang, and Chu Xiang didn't have a good life even after she returned to her parents. She was only able to take care of herself now that she was out there. It was as if they were bullying Chu Xiang. Mrs. Chu didn't think so much at this moment. She suddenly thought of the photo that Mr. Chu sent her. She didn't know whether it was real or not. She grabbed Chu Xiang and rolled up Chu Xiang's sleeves. She was stunned when she saw the crisscrossing scars on them. Why did the Chun family beat their child? She raised the daughter of the Chun family, like she was a treasure. How could the Chun family beat her daughter like this? She blurted out, "Why didn't you tell me?" Chu Xiang tidied up her sleeves and said in an indifferent tone, "Chu Xian knows all this. I thought she had told you long ago. Maybe you didn't care about it, because you wanted to protect her parents. Otherwise, it would be too kind of you to give away 5 million yuan when your daughter was beaten like this." The driver tightened his grip on the steering wheel and drove steadily. However, he felt that the Chu family was in a mess. Mrs. Chu turned to look at Chu Xian. Chu Xian hurriedly explained, but Mrs. Chu refused to listen. Why weren't you surprised when Chu Xiang was malnourished and showed those scars? You knew long ago? Chu Xian, how could you hide it from us? Chu Xian hurriedly said. Mom, I just found out 2 days ago. I thought you knew. Even if she found out 2 days ago, Chu Xian didn't even mention or ask about such shocking scars. How could this be her normal reaction? Mrs. Chu's temples were throbbing, and she felt a headache. She suddenly asked Chu Xian, did you do that in the locker room? Why? You don't want to go to the same school as Chu Xiang? Then you are. Why would you do such a thing? Chu Xian was surprised. Mom, you don't believe me? I rubbed my face until it turned red, and my skin almost fell off. How could I be so cruel to myself? Am I crazy? Chu Xian cried. Mom, are you suspecting that I deliberately hurt my sister? Why would I hurt her? You all love me so much. My life is no different from before. What reason do I have to hurt her? What reason? Of course, it was to fight for the position of Rao. In the past, Mrs. Chu wouldn't have thought of such a reason. However, she thought too much about it now. All kinds of conspiracy theories were squeezed into her head. She felt uncomfortable and almost couldn't think properly. Chu Xian's crying made her head hurt even more. Chu Xiang looked out of the window and didn't say anything. These things were just like the fights in the harem. Whoever won the emperor's heart, no matter how suspicious, would not be suspected. Whoever made the emperor unhappy would be wrong even if they followed the rules. It meant that they had double standards. They did whatever they wanted and thought that they could control other people's lives. However, such people were also very suspicious. A small crack in trust could become bigger and bigger until it collapsed. No one in the world could compare with her painting skills. In addition to being a world-class painter in her previous life, it was also because of her tens of thousands of years of accuracy and speed in drawing talismans. She could draw talismans out of thin air when she was fighting with others. How difficult would it be to draw a lifelike toad on Chu Xian's face when she was struggling? Of course, her mental strength was strong enough that others couldn't do it. Therefore, this matter was unsolvable. From the moment this matter was exposed, it was destined that Chu Xian was the one who lied, not her. After arriving home, Mrs. Chu asked Chu Xian to go back to her room. She took Chu Xiang to the study. She wanted to see Chu Xiang's medical report. Chu Xiang gave it to her without hesitation. Mrs. Chu frowned and asked, have you always kept your medical report in your bag? Chu Xiang drank juice calmly opposite her. I went to the dormitory to get it just now. You suddenly came to me probably because of some rumors. I thought you would want to see it. Mrs. Chu wanted to ask how the medical report was seen by her classmates and how it was spread. However, after opening the medical report, she was speechless. Malnutrition, frostbite, stomach problems, old and new scars. How much had her daughter suffered in the Chen's family? Mrs. Chu's fingers holding the medical report trembled. She was so angry that her lips turned pale. How dare they? Chu Xiang nodded. They are bad people. They are not as good as you. You treat your adopted daughter better than your biological daughter. Chu Xian is really lucky to have met you. Mrs. Chu looked up at her. Her harsh words were like a knife stabbing into her heart. Her lips trembled slightly. I don't know these things. Chu Xiang nodded again, as if she had always agreed with her words. You really don't know. Because you don't care about me, you don't care about me. You think that you're being benevolent by bringing me back and giving me food to eat. You're even a little tired of me. Mrs. Chu was stung by her sarcastic tone. She pulled a long face and said, how could you say that? Chu Xiang chuckled and spread her hands. You can't stand it? You didn't do your duty as a mother. How dare you lecture me like an elder? I'm afraid your skin is thicker than the city wall. Mrs. Chu stared at her in disbelief. Are you crazy? I am your mother. How dare you call me shameless? Chu Xiang, I think you need to be taught a lesson. Mrs. Chu stood up and raised her hand to Chu Xianglai. No mother could tolerate a child calling her shameless. Chu Xiang stepped back and stood up as well. However, she approached Mrs. Chu and pressed her down on the chair. So what if I call you shameless? I also want to call you an idiot. You have been fooled by Chu Xian. How can you be my mother? She grabbed the pen on the table and drew on Mrs. Chu's face. Do you want me to draw a toad for you? You can make a mother and daughter pair with your beloved daughter. Mrs. Chu was shocked again. You drew that toad on Chu Xian's face? You really drew it? How is that possible? Chu Xiang laughed. Why is it impossible? As long as you are capable, you can do anything. Chu Xian has lied to you so many times in the past. Only this time, she is telling the truth. Why don't you believe her? Just now in the car, you scolded her until she cried. You don't believe her. How sad must she be? You can't be a biological mother and you can't be a foster mother. What a good-for-nothing. You. Be ****. Mrs. Chu was so angry that she wanted to get up, but Chu Xiang held her down. She was so angry that her heart was beating fast. She covered her chest and said fiercely, "Get out. Go back to your room. How did I give birth to you?" Chu Xiang let go of her and pointed at the medical report on the table. This is all thanks to Chu Xian's parents. Do you have a grudge against them? They made Chu Xian your treasure, then abused me and taught me to be a bad person. Then they sent me back to harm you. When I piss you off, Chu Xian will be able to inherit the family fortune that you have earned your whole life. It's perfect. You have worked hard your whole life, and your body is so weak now. What do you want? Get out. I said get out. Mrs. Chu pressed the intercom. Someone locked Chu Xiang in her room. Chu Xiang was not in a hurry. She turned around and picked up the fruit on the table. She slowly poured the fruit on her school uniform, and even raised her hand to wipe her face. She smiled. It's time for you to have a taste of what it's like to be unable to explain yourself. Remember, I'll treat you the same way you treat me. Before Mrs. Chu could react, the door was opened. The two servants were stunned when they saw Chu Xiang. Then they looked at the empty glass in front of Chu Xiang and asked her to go back to her room in a low voice. Mrs. Chu looked at Chu Xiang again and saw that Chu Xiang's head was lowered. There were tears on her face, and there were red marks on both sides of her face. It was as if she had just slapped her twice. Mrs. Chu looked at the fruit juice on Chu Xiang's body and the servant's strange expressions. Her head was buzzing. She stood up suddenly. Chu Xiang, what do you mean? You poured fruit juice on yourself and smeared something on your face. Do you want people to think that I hit you? I'm your mother. How dare you accuse me? Chu Xiang was silent for a moment and said in a low voice, I spilled the fruit juice and accidentally hit my face. She looked exactly the same as every time Chu Xian accused her. Mrs. Chu was so angry that she almost couldn't breathe. She looked at the expressions of the two servants and got angry. She grabbed a few tissues, dipped them in the fruit juice on the table, and wiped Chu Xiang's face. She gritted her teeth and said, What are you smearing? How dare you accuse me of hitting you? The two servants only saw that Chu Xiang wanted to dodge but didn't dare to. Their eyes were red. Mrs. Chu was stunned after wiping her face a few times. The slap mark was still there. She couldn't wipe it off. She suddenly remembered the toad mark on Chu Xian's face. She had scrubbed the skin off many times, but still couldn't get it off. So, it was really Chu Xiang who painted it. Chu Xian didn't lie. It was Chu Xiang who bullied her. At this time, Chu Xiang stepped back to avoid her hands. She lowered her head and said, Chu Xian has been accusing me since she found Chu Xian's necklace in my room. I won't admit what I didn't do. It's happened so many times that I can't remember. I don't want you to be fair to me. I just want to move out and not stay at home. Mrs. Chu hadn't come to her senses yet. She couldn't accept such a sudden change. Chu Xiang didn't want to talk to her anymore. I'm going back to my room. Chu Xiang picked up her school bag and went back to her room. The servant who was fired stood in the corridor and watched the scene. Seeing her enter the room, she asked the two servants what happened in the study. She had just received her salary. She didn't expect to see a scene. Several servants were working together. At this time they secretly talked about what happened in the study. The servant who was fired said the worst things. She scolded Mrs. Chu. After scolding Mrs. Chu to her heart's content, she left. Of course, she couldn't admit that she made a mistake and was fired. She exaggerated the story of the Chu family and spread it out. Many of the nannies heard it. This madam of the Chu family was unpredictable and biased. It was clearly her adopted daughter's fault, but she hit her own daughter and blamed it all on her. This story, was a bit legendary. After all, it was hard to understand why Mrs. Chu didn't care about her biological daughter, but not her biological daughter. More and more people talked about it. This time, all these things happened in the circle of nannies. They were finished and their families and friends also knew about it. A nanny's daughter who was in school posted this strange incident on the online forum. For a time, more people talked about it. Even the censored Chu's was dug out. It became a strange story, but it hadn't spread for the time being. Mrs. Chu was very angry. When she was young, she and Mr. Chu started the company from scratch. It was especially hard to run the company. Her body was damaged. So after the Chu's was stable, she stayed at home and became a madam. The main reason was that she needed to rest well. However, she was angry again and again. Just now, she was framed by her daughter. The feeling of being fooled made her dizzy. She leaned on the sofa in the study, closed her eyes and frowned. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Chu Xiang was like a quail in front of her before. It turned out that it was all an act. She had been pretending since she came back to the Chu family until now. Would a good person do such a thing? Chu Xiang was obviously up to something. Maybe she wanted to pretend to be a good girl in front of them to please them. Just now, Chu Xiang mentioned the $1 million family business. She must have thought about it before. Wasn't she pretending to be good to inherit the Chus? Now that she saw that they loved Chu Xian, she couldn't pretend anymore. Mrs. Chu had a splitting headache and could only take painkillers. But the painkillers irritated her stomach. Not long after, she felt her stomach churning and felt even more uncomfortable. She couldn't think clearly at all. Her head was dizzy and she couldn't think clearly. When Mr. Chu came back, he heard that she was in the study and wanted to go upstairs to find her. He asked casually, "Sister, are you back?" The maid nodded and said, "Both sisters are back." Mr. Chu felt that the maid's expression was a little strange. He asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" The maid hesitated and said in a low voice, "Sister Chu Xiang went to her room as soon as she came back." Mrs. Chu asked Sister Chu Xiang to go to the study, and then slapped her twice and poured juice on her. Now Mrs. Chu asked Sister Chu Xiang to go back to her room to reflect. Mr. Chu was stunned. Mrs. Chu hit someone and poured juice on them? Were the rumors spread by Chu Xiang deliberately? So Mrs. Chu was angry? He went upstairs and went directly to the study. The study had been cleaned up. Mr. Chu saw that Mrs. Chu seemed to be tired. He pulled his tie and asked, "What happened? Did you hit Chu Xiang?" "I didn't." Mrs. Chu refuted a little loudly. This B** starred is so good at pretending. We were all fooled by her. She poured juice on herself and smeared something on her face. She accused me of hitting her. She also said that I was shameless and didn't deserve to be a mother. She said that I was stupid. Mrs. Chu was so angry that she trembled all over. Mr. Chu frowned. "What are you talking about? She scolded you? She accused you of hitting her? You don't believe me?" Mrs. Chu got up and walked in front of him. She also used this method to frame Chu Xian. She drew a toad on Chu Xian's face and wanted to draw one on me just now to make us look like mother and daughter. I don't know how the school found out. They even checked the CCTV to prove that Chu Xiang didn't go to the changing room. That B** starred admitted it to me. Mr. Chu felt that she was too agitated and was a little confused. He looked down and saw the medical report on the table. He frowned and picked it up to read. Whose? Before he finished speaking, he had already seen the report. It was all evidence of Chu Xiang's suffering. And Chu Xiang was his daughter, his only daughter. His face was livid. When he saw the photos of the injuries on her body, he slammed the medical report on the table. Chu Xiang has so many injuries on her body. As her mother, how could you not know anything about it? She's also malnourished. She's been home for 3 months. How can she be malnourished? Mrs. Chu was still angry and blurted out. The Chen family probably hit her because she deserved it. You didn't see it just now. I wanted to hit her too. I'm her mother. How dare she scold me? Mr. Chu was so angry that he laughed. What about you? Is it her fault that the Chen family hit her? She deserved it. She's our daughter. She belongs to the Chu family. How can she be beaten like this by the Chen family? What are you thinking? Huh. Are you siding with the Chun family? Mrs. Chu was also angry. Did you hear what I said? I'm saying that she's immature. She even scolded me just now. If she had scolded you to your face, wouldn't you have hit her? Mr. Chu put his hands on his hips and paced back and forth in the room. He nodded and said, "You're her mother. She's been home for 3 months and she doesn't dare to make a sound. She's always so reserved. You said that you're shameless and stupid? Do you believe that? If she dared to scold you, would she have stayed in her room obediently to reflect? Why didn't she run away by now?" Mrs. Chu's face was full of disbelief. You don't believe me? Why would I lie to you? I'm telling you the truth. Mr. Chu nodded again. You're telling the truth. What did you say just now? You checked the CCTV and proved that Chu Xiang didn't go to the changing room. But Chu Xiang admitted to you that she did it. She was the one who bullied her. Do you take me for a fool? What are you trying to do? What are you doing? If you want to teach her a lesson, just do it. Why are you making up such a mess of excuses? Mr. Chu's business deal failed and he was drunk. He was very irritable. When he came home, he found that his daughter was abused and his wife had wronged his daughter. He felt that the family was a mess. Mrs. Chu thought of Chu Xiang's words and finally understood what it meant to let her have a taste of her own medicine. Chu Xiang was leisurely watching the live broadcast of the Heaven and Earth mirror in her room with a smile on her face. Mrs. Chu found out the truth and wanted to change it. How could there be such a good thing? The original owner was already dead. They could continue to love their precious adopted daughter. Chapter 248. Mr. Chu and Mrs. Chu parted on bad terms. In recent years, Mrs. Chu had been staying at home because of her poor health, so she spent more time with Chu Xian. Mr. Chu, on the other hand, went out early and came back late. Sometimes he didn't see Chu Xian for a few days. Therefore, he felt that Mrs. Chu wronged Chu Xiang because she loved Chu Xian too much. In order to teach Chu Xiang a lesson, she didn't hesitate to accuse Chu Xiang of insulting her own mother. What he despised most before was Chu Xiang's quail temperament. How could he believe this? He didn't want to quarrel with Chu Xiang's mother, so he took the medical report and went to Chu Xiang. Ask for leave tomorrow. I'll ask my assistant to take you to the hospital to do a new medical report. You can ask the doctor how to take care of your body, take medicine, and get injections. Mr. Chu looked at his daughter who lowered her head in front of him and sighed. His tone softened. You've suffered all these years. I didn't know before, but now I know. I won't let anyone bully you. Chu Xiang suddenly raised her head and looked directly at him. Mr. Chu was stunned and stopped talking. Chu Xiang looked at him lifelessly. 85 years ago, Chu Xian hid the necklace in my room and framed me for stealing it. 79 years ago, Chu Xian deliberately lay down in the back garden and let everyone misunderstand that I pushed her. 73 years ago, I was the top student in school. Chu Xian wronged me for cutting her school uniform. 70 years ago, Chu Xian wronged me for destroying her homework. Mr. Chu frowned and interrupted her. Chu Xiang, what are you thinking? Chu Xiang was silent for a while. She still looked lifeless and hopeless. I'm thinking that she has hurt me so many times and has been bullying me. As my biological father, will you teach her a lesson? You won't let anyone bully me just now. How sincere are you? Mr. Chu frowned even more. He was a little dissatisfied with her attitude. But when he thought of the medical report in his hand, his dissatisfaction turned into pity. Xiang, I've seen the medical report and know that the Chun family mistreated you. Don't worry. I won't let them go. I'll teach them a lesson. But Xian grew up in the Chu family. She is a victim like you. You shouldn't vent your hatred for the Chun family on her. Father doesn't care about what you did in the past. Don't mention it again. Looking at Chu Xiang's dark eyes, Chu Machen's father didn't know why he couldn't go on and stop talking. When he stopped talking, Chu Xiang continued. You don't believe me. Just because she was raised by you guys think that she won't do anything bad. I was raised by the Chun family, so it was natural for me to do bad things. Do you still think that she's a good child? Do you know that she wronged me in school? Do you know how many classmates the director had to check the surveillance cameras to prove my innocence? Do you know how long I was ostracized by my classmates because of her? Do you know that I almost drowned when she pulled me into the pool? Do you think she's kind? Mr. Chu was a little embarrassed by her continuous questioning. How could a child talk to her father like this? He put on a straight face and said, I heard about what happened in the changing room. It's Chu Xian's fault. I will punish her. However, I watched Chu Xian grow up. You think she's so scheming at her age? How could she have plotted against you so many times? That's impossible. I haven't told you about the last time you pushed her into the water. Even a rabbit will bite when it's anxious. You've bullied her so many times. As long as she's a normal person, she will fight back. However, both of you are in the wrong. If I punish you, I will also punish her. I get it. Her biological parents mistreating you has nothing to do with her. I will deal with the Chun family. However, you and Chu Xian are sisters. You have to get along well in the future. Chu Xiang looked at him for a while. You don't believe me. You only believe in your own judgment. You believe that the daughter raised by the Chu family can't be so bad. Then I will prove it to you. Chu Xiang took him to the utility room. She drew the curtains and left a gap. She said, You can see the swimming pool at home from here. Wait and see. What are you doing? Mr. Chu was a little impatient. He had drunk a lot, and his wife and daughter were making a fuss when he came back. He was already having a headache. Don't move. I will show you whether she can swim or not. After saying that, Chu Xiang went out. She went to Chu Xian's room and covered her mouth. She dragged her to the swimming pool in the backyard and kicked her in. Mr. Chu's heart tightened, and he instinctively wanted to rush downstairs. However, when he thought of Chu Xiang's lifeless appearance just now, as if there was nothing more sorrowful than a dead heart, he could not lift his feet. However, when he stared at Chu Xian, who was struggling in the water, he felt as if his heart was being pricked by needles. That was the daughter he raised. How did things turn out like this? Chu Xiang squatted by the swimming pool and smiled maliciously at Chu Xian. Mom and Dad are discussing how to deal with the Chun family in the study. I have already chased the servants back to their rooms. By the time they find you, won't you have already become a corpse? Didn't I push you into the water? I have to make this a reality. However, your classmates saved you last time. This time, you can wait for your death. Chu Xiang sneered and went back to the villa. The building materials of the villa had good soundproofing, and it was some distance away from the swimming pool. Chu Xian shouted a few times, but didn't get any response. She knew that Chu Xiang was telling the truth. No one could stop her now. However, she didn't panic. Chu Xiang thought that she didn't know how to swim, but that was because she was 17 years old. In her previous life, she had learned everything for filming. She was good at swimming. Chu Xian stared at Chu Xiang's back until she disappeared. Then, she pretended to struggle and shout for a while. She was really tired, so she looked around and quickly swam to the shore. At this time, Chu Xiang had already returned to the utility room. She stood beside Mr. Chu and looked at his ugly expression. She said in a flat voice, Did you see that? I was never the one who lied. Unfortunately, my parents never believed me. Trust was usually indestructible. However, once they saw with their own eyes that something they firmly believed in was false, this trust would suddenly collapse. Mr. Chu's trust in Chu Xian was like this. He remembered that Chu Xiang had almost killed Chu Xiang. She was too much. He wanted Chu Xiang to quit school and teach her a lesson. At that time, Chu Xian forced a smile and pleaded for her sister. He thought that Chu Xian was sensible. Now it seemed that Chu Xian had already known what they were thinking. She just cried in front of him and said a few words to sow discord. Then his anger fell on Chu Xiang. At that time, Chu Xiang was in the hospital. When he heard that Chu Xiang was fine, he thought that Chu Xiang was afraid of being punished and didn't dare to go home. However, the medical report proved that Chu Xiang's health was very poor. At that time, was she very uncomfortable in the hospital? Was it that time that the child was completely heartbroken? Mr. Chu turned to look at Chu Xiang. His eyes were full of self-blame. He reached out and wanted to touch her head. Chu Xiang took a step back to avoid him. She looked at him without any sadness or joy. She no longer looked like she was begging for father's love when she first came home. Mr. Chu felt as if his heart was being squeezed. He even sobered up. Xiang, I will find out what happened in the past. If Chu Xian really bullied you on purpose, I will make her leave the Chu family. Chu Xiang looked at him. You should let her go back to the Chun family with nothing. Her parents abused me. She bullied me. You are my biological father. You should let the three of them live together to avenge me. Moreover, you should let them live together without anything. Mr. Chu hesitated. I won't let Mr. Chen have it easy. But Chu Xian, she is still alive. I didn't teach her well and made her so jealous. But it's not that serious. She did something wrong and you don't like her. I will give her a house and let her live outside. I will transfer her to another school. You won't see each other in the future. When she becomes an adult, I will not care about her anymore. Is that okay? If you were me, would you think it's okay? Chu Xiang turned around and opened the door of the utility room. With her back facing him, she said, I don't have parents. It doesn't matter. I don't care anyway. Her tone was very calm. It was like a fog that could be blown away by a gust of wind. Mr. Chu instinctively reached out to stop her. However, Chu Xiang had already stepped out and closed the door. Chu Xiang's figure disappeared from Mr. Chu's sight. The door seemed to have cut off their father-daughter relationship. Mr. Chu stood there stiffly like a statue. She didn't have parents. She didn't care anymore. Mr. Chu panicked. He hurriedly opened the door and chased after her. However, Chu Xiang's room was already empty. Chu Xiang had left. Upstairs, Mrs. Chu found Chu Xiang soaking wet. She asked her in surprise and found out that Chu Xiang had pushed her into the water. Fortunately, she was not far from the shore, so she managed to climb out. Thinking of Chu Xiang's naughty look, Mrs. Chu immediately took Chu Xian to find Chu Xiang to get even with her. Hearing the noise, Mr. Chu walked upstairs with a straight face. Looking at the two hypocrites in front of him, he said coldly, You have driven my daughter away. Are you satisfied now? Mrs. Chu and Chu Xian turned their heads in surprise at the same time. Their similar expressions and movements were even more dazzling in Mr. Chu's eyes. They were mother and daughter, weren't they? They were heart to heart. They slandered Chu Xiang together just to drive Chu Xiang out. He thought about it carefully. When he was busy in the company, he heard most of the things about Chu Xiang from Mrs. Chu. His impression of Chu Xiang was getting worse and worse. Of course, it was Mrs. Chu's guidance that led him to have a bad impression of Chu Xiang. If Chu Xiang had been wronged by pranks time and time again, how could Chu Xian, a child, have done these things? Was it Mrs. Chu who helped Chu Xian from the very beginning? When Mr. Chu first saw the medical report, he thought he had found the evidence that Chu Xiang hated Chu Xian. The Chens abused Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang couldn't take revenge. Of course, she could only vent her anger on Chu Xian. But after the incident with Chu Xiang swimming and the toad, he now believed that everything about Chu Xiang was true. Chu Xiang looked lifeless just now. It was obvious that she was heartbroken by them. She didn't look like a person who bullied her sister and insulted her mother. Mr. Chu's mind became very clear. He felt that he had sorted out everything in a few breaths. He stared at Chu Xian coldly. Move out tomorrow. I'll have someone arrange a place for you. Chu Xian's face turned pale instantly. Mrs. Chu said angrily, What the hell is going on? Make it clear. What do you mean by we drove your daughter away? Is Chu Xiang not my daughter? Did she do something to you? Why do you want to drive her out? Are you trying to protect her? Mr. Chu looked at Mrs. Chu and felt that he didn't know her anymore. She actually framed her own daughter. What was she thinking? Mrs. Chu also felt that he was unreasonable. What did I do to protect her? I asked you to make it clear. Chu Xiang is too good at pretending. She has a lot of fallacious arguments. What do you know in the company? I'm afraid that you'll be deceived by her. Have you forgotten those ugly rumors outside? Isn't it because Chu Xiang deliberately left? Mr. Chu just remembered the rumors that caused him to lose the order. He pinched his eyebrows, strode into the study and ignored them. The family's business was nothing more than the two girls' business. It could be arranged in any way. His family was in the real estate business. They didn't lack houses. They could live in a villa. He could transfer Chu Xian to another school and compensate Chu Xiang more. Gradually, everything would be fine. However, the rumors outside had to be dealt with quickly. Otherwise, it would affect his reputation and the reputation of the Chus. The order he lost today was not a small one. If it was successful, he could make at least 500 million yuan in profit. Otherwise, he wouldn't go in person. In the past few years, the Chus had been stagnant. Any cooperation worth hundreds of millions of yuan was very important. But because the rumors didn't succeed, this was the most important thing. Mr. Chu stopped thinking about the children's affairs. Instead, he arranged for his assistant and secretary to think of ways to find out if there was any negative news about the Chu family. In such a large group, the chairman's assistant and secretary were very well connected. Most of their contacts were the staff of various companies. Naturally, it was more convenient for them to inquire about things than him. That night, they reported all the information they had gathered. Only then did he know that Chu Xiang was almost ostracized by almost everyone in school. Every time she played a prank, there was no evidence. However, after Chu Xian pleaded and shed tears, everyone was sure that Chu Xiang was the one who did it. In the past, he didn't know about these things. Now that he knew, he no longer favored Chu Xiang as the apple of his eye. When he looked at these things again, he felt that Chu Xian did it on purpose. His daughter was wronged in school, but he seemed to have scolded Chu Xiang for these things. Also, Chu Xiang's change began after she drowned. It turned out that Chu Xiang really stopped breathing. The situation was very dangerous, and she almost died. Everyone changed a lot after dying once. Perhaps it was that time that made Chu Xiang give up on them. She only wanted to study hard to find a way out for herself. It was also from that time that Chu Xiang no longer cared about Chu Xian. She let go of herself and began to make friends with her classmates. Then very soon, everyone discovered her shining point and the pain she had suffered. These things were not only found out by the assistant from others, but also from the school forum, and some of the information he gathered from his circle of friends. The information was very complete. The assistant showed him the more authentic information that had been verified. Mr. Chu was very sad. His daughter could still smile with her classmates at school, but when she came home, she saw that they were lifeless. His decision just now had hurt his daughter's heart. The best way to get his daughter back and destroy the rumors was to let others see the Chu family's attitude and his attitude. After making the decision, Mr. Chu immediately asked the assistant to find a 2-bedroom apartment near the school to settle Chu Xian down. He also asked the servants to tidy up Chu Xiang's room and buy some suitable decorations and dolls to put in there. The wardrobe also had to be filled with the new products of the season. While he was making the arrangements, Mrs. Chu was very unhappy. She felt that Chu Xiang must have lied to him and made him misunderstand her. She wanted to clear things up with him. However, today's matter was set up by Chu Xiang to sow discord. It was done flawlessly. They did not have the same information. No matter how smart they were, it was impossible for them to figure out the truth. Naturally, the angrier they became. In the end, they even quarreled. Mrs. Chu felt dizzy and Mr. Chu slammed the door and left. Chu Xian eavesdropped for a long time. Although she did not know why Mr. Chu's attitude changed and why he refused to listen to her explanation, she found that Mrs. Chu seemed to hate Chu Xiang even more. She even believed that the person who drew the toad was Chu Xiang. This was her chance. Therefore, as soon as Mr. Chu left, she immediately went to comfort Mrs. Chu. Chu Xiang's mother originally suspected Chu Xian of the toad incident. Now that Chu Xiang admitted that she was the one who did it, Chu Xiang's mother naturally felt that Chu Xiang was the one who bullied Chu Xian. Just like how Chu Xiang wronged her, even Chu Xiang's father believed her without a doubt, and didn't listen to her explanation at all. As for when Chu Xian sent messages to the servants when she fell into the water, Mrs. Chu questioned her, and Chu Xian found a few excuses to cover it up. After all, compared to Chu Xiang who scolded her for being shameless and wronged, Mrs. Chu hid something from her. She was like a disobedient child who should be taught a lesson later. Now that Chu Xian admitted her mistake honestly and comforted her in such a considerate way, Mrs. Chu's heart leaned towards Chu Xian a little more. It was easy for misunderstandings and conflicts to arise if the information was not equal. Chu Xiang had only transmigrated for 2 weeks, And in the short span of 10 days, she had caused many things. She wanted to make all the information they had not be equal, so that she could clear her name and attack the Chu clan. Now that things were about to ferment, the bombs were coming out one by one, which caught the Chu family off guard. None of them knew the truth of the matter, and started to fight among themselves. Relationships could not be repaired. The more misunderstandings they had now, the more difficult it would be for them to get along with each other in the future. It was impossible for the Chu family to be peaceful and happy again. No matter what the Chu family and Chu Xian thought, Mr. Chu forced Chu Xian to move out the next day. He did not answer Mrs. Chu's calls, so she could not quarrel with him. At home, she saw Mr. Chu's assistant watching them move out. She was so angry that she could only lie on the bed. Not only that, Mr. Chu also ordered all the servants to not let Chu Xian enter the house in the future. Chu Xian was driven out of the house overnight. She finally panicked. It was useless to cry with Mrs. Chu. She had to go to the new house and think of a solution by herself. Chu Xiang was surrounded by her classmates at school. The two handprints on her face were so obvious that it was difficult to ignore them. Even the head teacher specially asked her to go to the office to ask about it. But no matter who asked, she said that she did it on purpose. It was interesting. The handprints on her cheeks were so obvious. They had faded a lot in the past night, but they were still very obvious. It could be seen that the person who slapped her was very hard. Since Chu Xiang fell into the water, she drew a clear line between herself and Chu Xian. If it was Chu Xian who slapped her, she would not help to cover it up. So it could only be her parents. Everyone knew that the Chu couple did not treat Chu Xiang well, but they did not expect that they would slap such a big girl. What did they do? It was so strange. Chu Xiang was not there, but there were a lot of guesses in the dark. The Chu couple's bad deeds were added to the list. It was also a coincidence that a freshman liked to browse the forum and accidentally found the post made by Mrs. Chu's servant, Ci Lu. Looking at the blurred description, he directly guessed that it was something that happened in the Chu family. The student immediately forwarded the long post to the campus forum, and it became lively. In the post, Mrs. Chu found out that they mistreated Chu Xiang outside. So she immediately took Chu Xiang home and scolded her. Not only did she pour juice on Chu Xiang, but she also slapped Chu Xiang twice. The servant saw it, and she said that Chu Xiang slapped herself and wronged her. The students were stunned. They wondered if Mrs. Chu was mentally ill. If they caused trouble outside, they would be scolded, beaten, and scolded at home. But wasn't it strange that she poured juice on them? And she slapped her daughter's face so hard. How much did she hate her daughter? Was it just because outsiders knew that they mistreated Chu Xiang? Or did she just treat Chu Xiang as an outsider, so she could not tolerate Chu Xiang? The post did not only mention this matter. The servant left and complained about Chu Xiang's mother. It also mentioned what happened after Chu Xiang returned home, including the conflicts between the two sisters, and the fact that Chu Xiang was grounded and had no food to eat. Only then did everyone know that it was Chu Xiang's father who didn't let Chu Xiang eat, and that Chu Xian and Chu Xiang had caused so much trouble at home, including the theft incident. According to their impression of Chu Xiang and Chu Xian, of course, they felt that Chu Xiang was innocent. It was most likely that Chu Xian directed and acted to harm her. This time, it seemed that the gossip was finally complete. Everyone knew what had happened at home and outside. They despised the Chu family and sympathized with Chu Xiang. Many people in the school looked at her intentionally or unintentionally. Chu Xiang had 2 slap marks on her face. She was expressionless and focused on her studies. She did not have her usual sunny smile, and focused on her studies during and after class. This made many people feel even more disgusted with the Chu family. Chu Xiang hid in the school, but they still did not let go of Chu Xiang. After a few months of taking Chu Xiang back, they made Chu Xiang come back in such a sorry state. She was not as lively as before. They used to think that the Chens were hell, but now they felt that the Chens were the same. Everyone despised the Chens, but they did not expect that someone would come to Chu Xiang after school at noon. Her father was waiting at the door to pick her up for lunch. Chu Xiang was not surprised at all. Whether it was for the company or for the relationship between father and daughter, He wanted to let others know that he cared about his daughter as soon as possible. It would be best if his daughter was touched and said it out loud. If it were an ordinary girl who had never been loved by a father, she might really be touched. With Mr. Chu's guilt and love, she might be filial to him in the future. However, Chu Xiang certainly would not let him do as he wished. She walked to the school gate expressionlessly. Many students knew that her father was coming to pick her up. They pretended to follow her to the school gate inadvertently, wanting to see what was going on. On the way, Chu Xiang sent the school post to Mrs. Chu. Of course, she deleted the network address and sent it by email. Mrs. Chu had been at home for too long. The other wives would not rudely expose her family's scandal. She had not heard any noise from outside for too long. She wanted to see how her family of 3 was scolded by everyone. When they arrived at the school gate, Mr. Chu saw that there were many students around. He smiled with satisfaction and walked up to her. Like a doting father, he looked at her and said, "Xiang Xiang, I'm not busy with work today, so I specially came to have lunch with you. We haven't had a good meal together in a long time. Let's go." Some students looked at him in confusion. Wasn't it Mr. Chu who told the servant that he did not give Chu Xiang food? What was he doing here now? In the past, they had some doubts about why Chu Xiang did not have food at home. However, the servant's words became evidence. It turned out that the order was given by Mr. Chu. Now looking at Mr. Chu, they felt that he was a sanctimonious hypocrite. Chu Xiang looked at Mr. Chu in silence for a while, until he could no longer maintain his smile. Then, she said in a hoarse voice, "After what happened last night, I can't believe that I'm your biological daughter. Let's do another paternity test." Chapter 249. Mr. Chu's smiling face turned into shock. He never thought that Chu Xiang would do this. What did she mean? Was she so disappointed in them that she wished she wasn't their daughter? Mr. Chu frowned. "Don't be ridiculous. Let's go. I've booked a restaurant." Chu Xiang shook her head. Back then the 2 families got the wrong child. Since that hospital could make such a mistake, maybe I got the wrong child from someone else and not your Chu family's child. Otherwise, why don't you care about me at all? This was equivalent to confirming that Chu Xiang and her husband didn't care about her. Mr. Chu glanced at the students talking and his face turned ugly. "Chu Xiang, don't be stubborn. I know you're angry, so I asked someone to help Chu Xian move out this morning. She won't return to the Chu family in the future. I promised you that I would only raise her until she was 18 years old. I was too busy and neglected you. I was wrong. You're my daughter. I'll make it up to you in the future." Oh, this was another confirmation. Mr. Chu admitted that Chu Xian bullied Chu Xiang in the past. But it also clarified one thing. Mr. Chu loved Chu Xiang very much, but he was too busy and neglected her. See, didn't he drive her out as soon as he found out the truth? Mr. Chu could run such a big business, so of course he was good at handling things. In fact, Mr. Chu didn't care much about the family before because he was too busy with work. But he always thought that it was the original owner's fault after hearing a few words, which also proved that he didn't care. He hurt her and thought that he could make it up to her. He was so used to being the head of the family that he thought the whole family depended on him. Some students already thought that Mr. Chu might be good. The servant said that Mr. Chu didn't give Chu Xiang food. Maybe it was fake or a misunderstanding. But Chu Xiang's expression didn't change at all. She still insisted. "It's too late. Yesterday, I was innocent from the beginning to the end. You didn't believe me. I proved that Chu Xian was lying, so you changed your mind. Or maybe the rumors outside were too bad and affected your business, so you asked Chu Xian to move out. I'm not stupid. I know why you came to school today." The students nearby were stunned. Why? They didn't think too much about it at first, but Chu Xiang's words reminded them. Thinking that they had changed their opinion of Chu Machen's father just now, they couldn't help but mutter. Could it be that Chu Machen's father was deliberately trying to clear his name? Without waiting for Chu Xiang's father to speak, Chu Xiang continued. "I've always felt that it takes a lot of fate to become a family. Even if we haven't seen each other for many years, we'll still be close. But yesterday," she unconsciously raised her hand to touch her face, and everyone's eyes fell on her palm print. she said. I can't believe that you're really my parents. Do a paternity test. Last time, you were afraid that there would be a mistake in rumors, so you found a private organization. This time, I want to do the test at the best paternity test center. If I'm really your daughter, then I'll admit it. If I'm lucky enough not to be your daughter, then I won't have to suffer anymore. She had been expressionless since she came back to school from home yesterday, as if she had suffered a blow. Only now did she reveal a smile. But that faint smile and soft voice felt like a dream. It was as if she had the best expectations, but she also knew that it was just a dream. Why did she still want to do it when she knew it was a dream? Perhaps it was because she was too unwilling and in too much pain. She held on to the last glimmer of hope and wanted to confirm it again. She also wanted to let herself give up. She really only had parents like this who didn't love her. At that moment, everyone felt sorry for her, including the angry Chu-Machen's father. Anyone who saw her like this couldn't be indifferent, let alone Chu-Machen's father, who felt a little guilty. Chu-Machen's father sighed and said helplessly, "Okay, do it if you want to. It's been 17 years, and I haven't loved you well. In the future, I'll love you 10 times, 100 times, and spoil you like a princess. I'll make up for all the fatherly love you missed in the past." Chu Xiang looked at him, and her expression gradually softened. Then she took the initiative to get into his car. Seeing this, the students felt a little emotional. Chu Xiang still hoped to receive fatherly love, right? Regardless of whether Chu-Machen's father neglected her or didn't like her in the past, he would dote on her even more now. It seemed like she would forgive him. If Chu-Machen's father could really dote on her even more in the future, Chu Xiang's good days would come. She should really be able to live the life of the Chu family's heiress. Then, someone mentioned that Chu Xian had been chased out. No wonder Chu Xian didn't come today. It turned out that she had been chased out and moved away. Everyone was very satisfied with Chu Xian's result, and there were many posts on the school forum about her. In any case, this section of the forum was anonymous, and the students dared to say anything. Not only did they say many things about Chu Xian, but they also said that Chu-Machen's mother, who was mentally ill, and Chu-Machen's father, who was suspected to be innocent. In any case, this post was very popular, and the Chu family's affairs were all kinds of gossip. After the servant exposed the Chu sisters' matter, she also exposed many trivial things about the Chu family in the past few years. A lot of things could be seen from the details. Many children from rich families in the school felt that the Chu family was a little bit like a nouveau riche. Although they tried their best to make themselves look rich, it could be seen from the details of their family that they didn't have any sense of wealth in their bones at all. After a round of posts on the forum and WeChat moments, the Chu family's image in the outside world was much worse. Chu-Machen's father wanted to take Chu Xiang to have dinner first, but it seemed that Chu Xiang only cared about the paternity test. She wanted to get the result before deciding whether to reconcile with her father. So Chu-Machen's father took her to pick up Chu-Machen's mother first, and they went to do the paternity test together. Chu-Machen's mother knew that Chu Xiang had bullied Chu Xian, so she believed that Chu Xiang had done all those things in the past. Now she was on Chu Xian's side, and she also comforted Chu Xian in her new house. As soon as she knew that they were going to do the paternity test, she suddenly had hope in her heart. It would be great if Chu Xiang wasn't her daughter. Although the paternity test had been done before, what if there was a mistake? This tiny bit of hope made her more spirited. She insisted on dragging Chu Xian along, and insisted on doing the test again. It was obvious that she wanted Chu Xiang to be her daughter, and she didn't want Chu Xian to be her daughter. Chu Xiang's slightly relaxed expression disappeared, and she became expressionless and cold again, which annoyed Chu-Machen's father. He felt that Chu-Machen's mother was not thinking clearly at home. In the car, no one talked to her, so Chu-Machen's mother took out her phone and found that she had received an email. In the email, the Chu family became famous. She had a bad feeling. She clicked on the link in the email, and her eyes turned black. She was so angry that her hands trembled. "What's wrong with you?" Chu-Machen's father noticed her and asked with a frown. Chu-Machen's mother took the phone and showed it to him. "Look, their school is outrageous. They didn't delete this kind of post, and even let the students spread it. I'm going to call their school and ask them what they mean. Is this how they treat their students' parents? Chu Machen's mother called the dean of the teaching office, and Chu Machen's father took out his phone to find the post and read it quickly. Chu Xian also took out her phone to read it. Because there were so many people talking about it in the post, and because of the maid's information, almost all the things that happened in the Chu family were exposed. Of course, most of them were true, and some were just people's wild guesses. This was the first time that Chu Machen's father knew so much about these things. It was mainly about the things that happened in the school and Chu Xiang's friends. His face became darker and darker. Anyone who saw so many people laughing at the Chu family couldn't stand it. He had never been insulted like this since he had a neighbor's company. When he saw that he was the one who ordered the maid to starve Chu Xiang because of malnutrition, his face became even colder. He only gave that order once, and it was because he misunderstood that Chu Xiang stole something, and was so angry that he starved her. It was only one meal. Why did everyone think that he often starved Chu Xiang just because the maid didn't know about it? He wanted to explain this kind of thing, but there was no way that he could explain it. As the chairman of the Chu family, he couldn't just starve his daughter, could he? There were also some people who thought that he and his wife were too proud and disliked Chu Xiang, because she grew up outside, and was not presentable. They would rather support their adopted daughter, and let her marry a better daughter to increase the strength of the Chu family. There were even some people who thought that he didn't care about his biological daughter, and wasn't afraid that no one would inherit the company because he had an illegitimate child outside. He continued to read, and saw an even more ridiculous one. It was actually that he doted on Chu Xian so much, because he had an affair with her. Although this one was mocked by others, he was still very angry when he saw this kind of message. What on earth had the Chu family become in the eyes of outsiders? Even this kind of love affair between the adoptive father and the adoptive daughter was out there. Of course, he also saw the news that Chu Xiang's card was suspended, and she was still wearing branded clothes. However, this news was released in a clear tone because Chu Xiang's money was borrowed from a good friend, and that person had confirmed it. At the same time, there were also people who suspected that this news was spread by Chu Xian. Chu Xian just couldn't bear to see Chu Xiang living well. In the eyes of Chu Xian's father, countless messages were all slander, rumors, and slander of the Chu family. He felt suffocated and had nowhere to vent his anger. He raised his head and looked at Chu Xian with an extremely cold gaze. Chu Xian met his gaze and quickly lowered her head. She was also panicking. She felt that things were getting more and more out of control. Now Chu Xian's father even hated her. Chu Xian's father was in charge of this family. Now Chu Xian's father wanted to compensate Chu Xiang, and didn't even bother to say a word to her. How could she turn the tables? She glanced at Chu Xiang. Seeing Chu Xiang's cold expression, she was furious. This B**TCH was too good at pretending. She had to expose Chu Xiang's true colors. After the phone call, Chu Xian's mother also looked at Chu Xiang and said coldly, "Are you satisfied? Even if you delete the post now, the Chu family's reputation will be ruined. Did you come back to the Chu family and cause so much trouble just to ruin the Chu family?" Chu Xian's father frowned and was about to speak when he saw Chu Xiang, who had been looking out the window, turn around and ask coldly, "Did I do something wrong? Or did I create rumors? How much of the post do you think is fake and how much of it is true? It's not my fault that the Chu family is being looked down upon today. Are you blaming us?" Enough. Chu Xian's father interrupted Chu Xian's mother coldly. His eyes were sharp as he said, "Recognize who your daughter is and watch your attitude. Do you want to spread more family scandals?" Chu Xian's mother looked at him in disbelief. Did he mean that she was to blame for spreading those family scandals? Chapter 250. Mrs. Chu was usually not a hot-tempered person, but now she was being wronged. She had seen Chu Xiang's bad side with her own eyes, but Mr. Chu didn't believe her, and even thought that she was unreasonable. How could she tolerate this? She didn't raise her voice, but she was angry all the time. From when Chu Xiang came back to steal, Chu Xiang painted Chu Xian as a toad, and even touched her face to accuse her of hitting her. Mr. Chu became more and more impatient with her. I went to check the school's surveillance camera today. Xiang wasn't there when Chu Xian was there, and the camera wasn't broken. You've gone too far by accusing Xiang of this. Also, what reason does Xiang have to accuse you of hitting her? What benefit does she get from accusing you? Who would do something that didn't benefit themselves? At least, Mr. Chu didn't think that Chu Xiang would do such a thing. Mrs. Chu blurted out. She just wanted me to be unable to defend myself, so that no one would believe me. She wanted me to experience this feeling. Didn't she succeed now? You don't believe anything I say. Mr. Chu said angrily. The surveillance camera confirmed that you're talking to her. How can I believe you? Fine, even if she really wanted you to experience the feeling of being unable to defend yourself. Why did she do that? Is it because she can't defend herself and no one will believe anything she says? Doesn't that mean she was wrong before? Mrs. Chu was stunned. Before she could say anything, they had already arrived at the identification center. She had been married to Mr. Chu for 20 years. She could tell that Mr. Chu not only didn't believe her, but also was impatient with her. She suddenly remembered the speculation she had just seen in the post. Did Mr. Chu have an illegitimate child outside? She was in poor health and had been staying at home for several years. No matter how she took care of herself, she still looked a little old. Mr. Chu often went out early and came back late. There were so many beautiful and lively girls outside. Did he have an affair? Mrs. Chu would usually think about this, but she trusted Mr. Chu and didn't think too much about it. However, now that she was wronged by Chu Xiang and Mr. Chu was so impatient with her, she couldn't suppress her suspicion when she saw the speculation in the post at the most sensitive time. She calmed down, but there was something wrong with her eyes, which made Mr. Chu even more annoyed. He just wanted to finish the test and go back to the company. He was so annoyed that he was in no mood to make it up to his daughter. When they were doing the DNA test, the doctor saw that they were all here and suggested a blood test. However, Chu Xiang subconsciously took half a step back. When they looked over, she lowered her head and said, "Is there any other way? I'm scared." Mr. Chu was stunned. "You're scared? It won't hurt." Chu Xiang shook her head. When Mrs. Chu showed an impatient look, she said, "When I was in the Chen family, Chu Xian's mother poked me with a needle." Her voice was trembling. "It hurt, it really hurt." Chu Xiang's heart skipped a beat. She immediately looked at Mr. Chu, who looked distressed. He went forward and hugged Chu Xiang and comforted her softly. Xiang, don't be afraid. It's okay. We won't take your blood. No one will hurt you again. It's all in the past." Mrs. Chu was a little touched. That woman from the Chen family actually poked her daughter? But now that she saw Chu Xiang's father comforting Chu Xiang, and Chu Xiang seemed to be very weak, she was angry again. She was not angry that Chu Xiang's father was good to Chu Xiang, but that Chu Xiang was acting again. How did Chu Xiang treat her in the study? She was sharp-tongued and evil. How could Chu Xiang be weak and need someone to comfort her? She was just pretending. The doctor was watching from the side. She couldn't say anything. However, she was even more disgusted with Chu Xiang. Naturally, her expression showed more. Chu Xiang's father inadvertently turned his head and saw her expression. He was very surprised and puzzled. Chu Xiang was their only daughter. How could Chu Xiang's mother not be upset at all when she heard such a thing? She even seemed to hate Chu Xiang. Was she crazy? Did she really love Chu Xian so much that she didn't want her biological daughter at all? No matter how much Mr. Chu doted on Chu Xian, he had always wanted to pass the family business to his biological daughter. Otherwise, the Chu group would change its name. Therefore, he had always locked Chu Xiang at home and asked teachers to teach her when she was disobedient. He had always wanted to find more teachers to change Chu Xiang's character and teach her a few more lessons. But now he suddenly found that his wife didn't have the same idea as him. His wife didn't seem to want Chu Xiang at all. Then his wife must have helped Chu Xian do those things before. Otherwise, how could a child like Chu Xian know so much? Mr. Chu had been in charge of the company for many years. He was the most suspicious person. His suspicion of Chu Xian and Mrs. Chu skyrocketed and couldn't be stopped. He even wanted to open Mrs. Chu's head to see what she was thinking. Wasn't she crazy to help her adopted daughter slander her biological daughter? However, they were outside. No matter how many thoughts they had, they couldn't say a word. However, their expressions were not good, and the atmosphere was very stiff. There were not many people coming and going in the identification center. Seeing them like this, they all showed an expression of understanding. They didn't know who had an affair. They just suspected that their child wasn't their biological daughter, or they brought a mistress child to the identification center. Mr. Chu hated Chu Xian, and Mrs. Chu hated Chu Xiang. Mr. Chu and Mrs. Chu were still in a deadlock. They really couldn't figure out the specific inside story. Because they couldn't figure it out, they were a little curious, so they looked at them many times. In the end, they chose to take a sample of the oral cavity. Chu Xiang had done many experiments in other worlds before, and she also had a lot of experimental materials in her space. This time, she used a trace of wackin from her soul to cover the surface of her oral cavity. Then, she wrapped the wackin with wackin to prevent the sample from being taken away. In other words, the sample had nothing to do with her body. The test results wouldn't come out until a week later. Mr. Chu didn't suspect that Chu Xiang wasn't their biological daughter at all. After all, they had done a paternity test before, so they weren't in a hurry to get the results. After the test, he asked Mrs. Chu to take Chu Xiang back. He meant that he wanted to have dinner with Chu Xiang alone. Mrs. Chu said coldly, "You just don't believe me. I don't know what happened between you and Chu Xiang. You believe her without a doubt, but you think I'm lying. Now you want to make it up to her. You think we've wronged her? I thought so too yesterday. How did she treat me? She scolded me and accused me of hitting her. Do you think she has forgiven you? She might be hiding something and is laughing at you." Mrs. Chu firmly believed that everything was done by Chu Xiang, while Mr. Chu believed that Chu Xiang had always been innocent. Both of them thought that what they knew was the truth. Mrs. Chu thought that Mr. Chu had been deceived. She was anxious to let Mr. Chu know Chu Xiang's true colors. She also wanted to know what Chu Xiang wanted to do. Mr. Chu thought that Mrs. Chu only recognized Chu Xian, and she was trying to sow discord between him and Chu Xiang. It was unreasonable. Because there was no one in the parking lot, they quarreled beside the car. Chu Xiang said, "I have classes in the afternoon. I'm going back. Don't come to me before the test results come out. I don't want to see you." Chu Xiang left. Mr. Chu called her a few times, but he couldn't run after her. He was so angry that he got into the car and went back to the company, leaving Mrs. Chu and Chu Xian there. Mrs. Chu was still angry. Her face was pale, and her heart was very uncomfortable. Chu Xian cared about her timely, comforted her, and accompanied her back to the Chu family. However, she didn't expect that the Chu family servants would obey Mr. Chu's order. They really didn't let Chu Xian enter the house. Even Mrs. Chu couldn't do anything, because Mr. Chu paid their salaries. Chu Xian left in tears, which made Mrs. Chu even angrier. She lay in bed and let her imagination run wild. She suddenly felt that she was like a housewife who had nothing and was despised. She had contributed to the success of the Chu family, but now even the servants didn't listen to her. And she didn't know whether Mr. Chu had a mistress outside. She felt that she couldn't go on like this. She had to go back to the company and look after Mr. Chu. She also had to put the company's shares under her name. She had been angry since Chu Xiang moved in the morning. Later, she was even angrier when she saw the post. Then, she quarreled with Mr. Chu, and was refuted by the servants when she came back. Now she had a splitting headache and felt uncomfortable everywhere. But she was even more annoyed at home. She simply changed into a suit and went to the company. She sat on the sofa in Mr. Chu's office and read a magazine. Mr. Chu didn't want to talk to her, but it didn't take long for him to find that something was wrong. As long as a female employee came into the office, Mrs. Chu would look at them intentionally or unintentionally. She looked at them and also looked at him. He was not stupid. After a few times, he guessed that Mrs. Chu suspected that he was having an affair. He was angry. "Are you going through menopause? What are you thinking? Did you read the post and suspect that I have an illegitimate child? Do you have an illegitimate child?" Mrs. Chu put down the magazine and stared at his face. Mr. Chu was so angry that he laughed. He slapped the file on the table and walked to her. He stared at her. You were a businessman when you were young. Now your brain is rusty after staying at home for a few years. If I wanted a son, why would I hide it for so many years? Wouldn't it be better to take my son home and let everyone know that he is my heir? It won't make much difference if I divorce and marry someone else. Why would I lie to you? Mrs. Chu breathed a sigh of relief. She was still willing to believe him. She softened her tone. If you don't lie to me, I won't lie to you. We have been married for so many years. Why don't you believe me? What's the benefit of me framing Chu Xiang? She did it herself last night. How many times have we quarreled now? That's her purpose. She hates us. Mr. Chu waved his hand and went back to reading the file. Don't think too much. I think you are just too bored at home. You should go abroad for a vacation. You will be fine. Chu Xiang's desperate look last night was not fake. At noon, she was slightly relaxed because of his concern. Compared with Mrs. Chu, who seemed to be going through menopause, he believed what he saw with his own eyes more. Since Mrs. Chu didn't do anything, he didn't do anything. However, he proposed to come to the company and transfer more shares to her. After what happened just now, Mr. Chu thought that Mrs. Chu didn't trust him and was guarding against him. Mr. Chu couldn't believe it. He felt that he didn't know Mrs. Chu at all. Was there any warmth in their family now? There was only calculation. When he thought of how Mrs. Chu helped Chu Xian to bully Chu Xiang, he suddenly suspected that Mrs. Chu wanted the shares to give to Chu Xian. The couple parted on bad terms again. When Chu Xiang returned to school, her expression was worse than when she left. Everyone could see that she was a little sad. Faced with the concern of her classmates, Chu Xiang couldn't help but say, "Maybe I am not my mother's child." She took Chu Xian there, as if she wanted Chu Xian to be her daughter. She didn't feel sorry for me when she knew that I was pricked by needles. She smiled. It doesn't matter. I don't care anymore. Chapter 251. How could a family like the Chu family not do a paternity test for a child? A classmate heard Chu Xiang's words and asked doubtfully, "You didn't do a paternity test before? You can't be so careless, right?" Chu Xiang sighed. "We did. I just can't figure it out." She didn't figure it out, but everyone understood. She was silent for a while and said, "Don't laugh at me. I've always been envious of others who have parents who dote on them. Later, when I found out that I was adopted by mistake, I looked forward to my biological parents doting on me. But now, I often dream that I have very, very good parents who treat me like a treasure." Chu Xiang was in the classroom. She sat by the window and looked at the field outside. Her eyes were empty, and she looked like a cloud that was about to disperse. Yunnan grabbed her arm subconsciously, and Yang Xueqing even got up to close the window. Then, the two of them looked at each other, and were a little stunned by their own actions. Chu Xiang also came back to her senses and smiled. "What are you doing? Do you think I'm going to jump off the building? This is the second floor. I won't die even if I jump off. Besides, I'm doing well. I haven't seen the results of my investment, and I haven't seen a lot of good food and fun things. How can I bear to die? I cherish the life I have now." A few classmates nearby heaved a sigh of relief. Some said, "You don't know how you looked just now. My heart was in pain. It was very uncomfortable." Others said, "Chu Xiang, we are all your brothers and sisters. In the future, no matter whether others dote on you or not, we will. Everyone, right?" "Yes." The students all shouted except for Wang Shasha. Wang Shasha's desk mate nudged her and asked, "Don't tell me you're still helping Chu Xian? Everyone knows that you made a mistake in the past. You helped the wrong person, and Chu Xiang was the one who suffered." Even if Wang Shasha and Chu Xian were unhappy, she couldn't be on good terms with Chu Xiang. At this moment, she said stubbornly, "Chu Xiang is not an orphan. Do you have to do this? A paternity test would have made all of you happy. This test was done long ago. Otherwise, how could she be brought back? Wasn't she asking to do it again so that her parents would remember who their real daughter was? I don't believe that she doesn't have any feelings for you, Ing." Chu Xiang didn't say anything, but some students were unhappy. "What do you mean? Are we meddling in other people's business? Wang Shasha sneered. Isn't that the case? Don't you all know how Chu Xiang's father treats her today? Now that Chu Xian has been chased out of the family, according to your words, the truth has been revealed and everyone should celebrate. That's right. Chu Xiang deserved it. Chu Xiang will have a father who loves her very much. Isn't her father going to compensate her tenfold, or even hundredfold? This kind of sarcastic remark was extremely ear-piercing to anyone's ears. Yunnan snorted. If I beat you up and buy you a lot of good things, you'll forgive me, right? Do you want to try? Wang Shasha rolled her eyes and didn't say anything else. The students didn't look at Wang Shasha in a good way. This person had always been so close to Chu Xian. Who knew what kind of virtue she had? The previous post on the school forum was deleted, but soon a new post appeared. However, it wasn't so blatant about the Chu family anymore. Anyway, everyone knew what was going on. Now people left comments with symbols and abbreviations. Anyway, young people could understand them. Today's matter was the most discussed topic in the school. Everyone thought that this was the end of the Chu family's drama. It seemed that Chu Xian's father didn't want Chu Xiang anymore. In the future, he would pamper Chu Xiang like a princess and make it up to her. However, Chu Xian's mother definitely didn't like Chu Xiang very much. The previous incident where Chu Xiang was beaten at home might be because she knew about Chu Xian's father's decision. Chu Xian's mother didn't want Chu Xiang to be beaten. Chu Xiang was really pitiful. Some people didn't understand Chu Xian's mother's thinking. However, there was a popular Korean drama in the early years. In the drama, a mother loved her adopted daughter very much and was very cold to her biological daughter, who was found later. Maybe Chu Xian's mother was the same as the one in the drama. Some people thought that Chu Xian was unlucky. After she turned 18, no one cared about her. However, this was quickly refuted. Chu Xian should have been a poor girl. She should have been abused growing up. Now she had her own property, many years of savings, and a lot of expensive jewelry. She grew up in a dignified manner. She should have taken advantage of everything, okay? This was the capital. Countless people couldn't afford her two-bedroom apartment even if they worked hard for their whole lives. Some people also said that Chu Xiang was going to live a good life, but this was also refuted. Hurt was hurt. Was it so easy to wash it away? Didn't they see that Chu Xiang didn't want family after being disappointed again and again? She came and went as she pleased. What did they take her for? If the Chu family's reputation hadn't been affected, would Chu Xian's father have said this? Why did they care about their daughter so much? In the past, Chu Xian's parents loved her so much. Who knew if they would really break up with her in the future? Chu Xian's father was busy, and Chu Xian's mother was mainly in charge of the family. Chu Xiang would also be wronged at home. Therefore, the best outcome now was for Chu Xiang to live in school and meet Chu Xian's father from time to cultivate their father-daughter relationship. That was what everyone thought. However, Chu Xiang didn't seem to be looking forward to it. Everyone also understood that once bitten, twice shy. How could the trauma in her heart be so easily healed? Everyone was the same age as Chu Xiang. Of course, there were times when they were neglected or misunderstood by their parents. They especially empathized with Chu Xiang. Wasn't the reason why parents dared to punish and compensate so much because they treated the child as their property? Take Chu Xiang's matter for example. If they were more careful, it wouldn't have become like this. How could it be smoothed over just because they were too busy and neglected it? Her parents just thought that it was their child's business. Whatever she did, it was her parents' decision. Even after apologizing, they still thought that it was natural for the child to accept it. Many people gave Chu Xiang advice. They told her to be more polite and not forgive her father so easily. Chu Xiang was very popular now. She was good at sports, smart, and had a good personality. Who didn't like her? She responded to those who came to persuade her with a smile. She just wanted to concentrate on her studies and learn how to invest. In the future, she would let nature take its course. Anyway, she didn't love or hate now. Chu Xian's father was very busy in the company. Recently, the Chu group's projects seemed to be particularly difficult. Of course, he didn't have so much time to come to school to show his fatherly love. He asked his assistant to order takeout for lunch and dinner. However, since Chu Xiang learned how to invest, she didn't eat steamed buns in the cafeteria. Instead, she ate in the pavilion with Xiao Yan, Yunnan, and the others. Therefore, they didn't eat the food sent by Chu Xian's father. They only ate the food sent by Xiao Yan's family. None of them gossiped. No one knew that Chu Xian's father had sent food here. No one noticed his fatherly love. Chu Xian moved out of the Chu family and took 3 days off. She adjusted her mood and came back to school. She acted neither servile nor overbearing, which disappointed those who wanted to see her make a fool of herself. Now she knew that she had to lie low. Chu Xian's father wanted to compensate Chu Xiang. No matter what she did, it wouldn't be good. He could only maintain her relationship with Chu Xian's mother and pull Chu Xian's mother to his side. After all, half of the Chu group would belong to him. The gossip about the Chu family seemed to be over. Chu Xiang concentrated on her studies for a week. She didn't go to play basketball with others after class. She didn't want to be assigned to another class because she had to prepare for the midterm exam. Her classmates felt a little guilty when they saw her like this. They used to treat her so badly, but she always treated them well outside. Now, she was still reluctant to leave and worked so hard to study. If it were other people, they would probably be eager to go to another class. In this way, Chu Xiang's life in the class became better. Everyone would smile and say hello to her when they saw her. It was as if she suddenly changed from the most annoying person in the class to the most likable person. Chu Xian, on the other hand, became invisible. No one regarded her as the campus belle anymore. No one even came to look for her. Everyone was very disgusted with her for staying in the Chu family and framing Chu Xiang. Even her former followers stopped interacting with her because she was kicked out of the house. A week passed quickly. Chu Xian's father's assistant went to get the test results. When he got them, he was stunned. He immediately told Chu Xian the news without waiting for him to attend a meeting. Chu Xian's father looked at the photos sent by his assistant in disbelief. The test results clearly showed that Chu Xiang was not related to him and his wife. When he saw this, he hoped that the test results from last time were mixed up. However, it turned out that the test results were the same. These two girls were not his daughters. Then what about his daughter? Where did his daughter go? Last time when he found out that the children were mixed up, he didn't lose his composure because the children were easily found. He even felt that this kind of thing was a little annoying. But this time, after reading the test results, his face turned pale. He immediately contacted the hospital and asked someone to pick up Chu Xiang and Chu Xian's mother. He decided to do another test. Of course, he couldn't forget about the Chen family. The Chu family raised the Chen family's daughter, but the Chen family didn't raise the Chu family's daughter. What went wrong? His daughter was either lost in the hospital or in the Chen family. No matter which one it was, he was a little panicked now. He just hoped that they could find her as soon as possible. Chu Xiang knew that the test results were out from the heaven and earth mirror. She took the initiative to call Chu Xian's assistant after class and asked him if he had gotten the report. The assistant didn't know what to say to her. She was a good girl, but she was abused in the Chen family and the Chu family. Now, she was an orphan with unknown parents. It was too pitiful. The assistant sighed and simply sent the photos of the test results to her. When Chu Xiang was on the phone, the students nearby all heard it. They felt that something was wrong, so some of them came over to look at the photos with her. When they saw the photos, everyone was stunned. Yunnan said in surprise, "Not related by blood? How could it be? Didn't they do a test?" Chu Xiang was still in a daze. She was awakened by her voice. She glanced at her, and then looked at the photos. Suddenly her eyes widened. "I'm really not their child? So, I still have parents who love me, right? How can my parents not love me? Blood relatives should be very close. I'm not their child." The students were still in shock, but they saw Chu Xiang, who was supposed to cry, smile. Her words were full of relief and hope. Yes, she had been looking forward to her parents' love. She had been looking forward to it since she was a child. She had been in despair before. Now she saw a glimmer of hope. She should be happy. Many people thought that Chu Xiang didn't want the Chu family and wanted to rely on herself. It turned out that she was telling the truth. What she cared about from the beginning to the end was her true love. She was not fascinated by this circle at all. She was really not greedy for wealth. Chapter 252. Chu Xian was the most shocked person in the class. She rushed over and snatched Chu Xiang's phone. After looking at a few photos, her eyes widened to the size of copper bells. How is this possible? This is impossible. Yunnan snatched the phone back and pushed Chu Xian away. What are you doing? Chu Xiang took back the phone and showed it to Chu Xian. She sneered. I tried so many times to not fight with you, but you didn't believe me. You just had to scheme against me. Now, I'm not the daughter of the Chu family. You don't have to worry about me fighting with you anymore. I don't have to worry about being your sister anymore. Remember, if you dare to do anything to me in the future, I won't let you go. The classmates helped Chu Xiang to push Chu Xian away. Stay away from her. If you want to know anything, go back and ask your mother. Doesn't your mother love you the most? Chu Xian, Chu Xiang has nothing to do with you and the Chu family from now on. You have no reason to do anything to her. Take care of yourself. Everyone's attitude towards her had been bad, but this was the first time they had mocked her so directly. However, Chu Xian couldn't care less. Her mind was full of shock. She stared at Chu Xiang and couldn't accept it. If Chu Xiang wasn't the daughter of the Chu family, then why did her parents give up on her because of Chu Xiang in her previous life? Why did they find a rich husband for Chu Xiang? Why did they hand over the Chu family to Chu Xiang? Compared to Chu Xiang, she was at least the adopted daughter of the Chu family. Where did Chu Xiang come from? Why did a wild child like Chu Xiang get everything, while she, the adopted daughter of the Chu family, was reduced to drinking and smiling? Why? Chu Xian only had eyes for Chu Xiang. She tried to squeeze forward again. What's going on? The test wasn't like this last time. Chu Xiang was also confused. That's right. Why are the results different? How can something like this be wrong? Chu Xian was stopped by her classmates again. She looked at the innocent look on Chu Xiang's face, the way Yunnan, Yang Xueqing, and even Xiao Yan were protecting her. Then she looked at her classmates' defensive and annoyed expressions. She was so angry that she almost vomited blood. If Chu Xiang was not a child of the Chu family, why did she have to scheme so much after her rebirth? She just needed to find an opportunity to do the test again. She couldn't find the Chu family's child, and her parents loved her deeply. Everything could only belong to her. But now, the fact that she schemed against Chu Xiang was exposed. Her reputation was ruined, and she was hated by Chu Xiang's father. Even if Chu Xiang's mother was still partial to her, she didn't love her as much as before. She was even chased out of the Chu clan, and couldn't even enter the gates of the Chu clan. Even without Chu Xiang, would Chu Machen's father still be willing to give the Chus to her? With her status, could she still be the young mistress of a wealthy family? She had ruined all the good cards in her hand. Chu Xian suffered a huge blow. Compared to Chu Xiang's vague happiness and relief, she was more like the person who was found to be wrong in the test. Her classmates looked askance at her, not understanding why she was so agitated. Chu Xian was not in the mood to pay attention to them. She grabbed her bag and ran out of the school quickly. Once again, she ran away without asking for leave. At this time, the chauffeur sent by Chu Machen's father to pick up Chu Xiang had also arrived at the school. When Chu Xiang heard that she was going to do the third test, she agreed without hesitation. When she left, she even looked a little nervous and worried. However, everyone knew what she was worried about. She was worried that the result of the test was wrong. If that happened, she would have to go back to the Chu family that treated her harshly. Originally, her classmates should sympathize with her when they knew that she had nothing to do with the Chu family. But now, they didn't know whether to sympathize with her or feel happy for her. This time, Chu Machen's father asked someone to do an urgent test. He even asked the Chen family to come over. After collecting the test samples, they waited together in the lounge. Chu Machen's mother looked at Chu Machen's parents opposite her. Her eyes were like knives. You deliberately sent Chu Xiang to my house, didn't you? What do you want to do? Did you bribe the doctor for that paternity test? Chu Machen's father had never been a good-tempered person. His eyes were fierce. You dare to say one more word? Fine. 5 million yuan to buy off the blood relationship. In the future, we will have nothing to do with each other. Why did you come to us again? Chu Machen's father suppressed his anger and stared at him. Chu Xian is your daughter, but Chu Xiang is not our daughter. I've looked for the hospital. The hospital said that we were swapped at that time. Where did you take my daughter? Chu Machen's parents were obviously stunned. They turned to look at Chu Xiang and Chu Xian. Then they frowned. How would I know your daughter? The hospital swapped her at that time. I don't know who swapped her with. Anyway, the one I brought home is Chu Xiang. You were the one who found her. She is your daughter. You were also the one who found the place for the test. If there was a mistake, it's your own business. What does it have to do with us? Chu Machen's parents acted as if they had nothing to do with this matter. They didn't care about this matter at all. They even looked at the time impatiently and wanted to leave. However, Chu Machen's father kept thinking about the photos of Chu Xiang's injuries in the medical report. He stood up abruptly and grabbed Chu Machen's collar. He gritted his teeth and said angrily, "Where did you take my daughter? You like to abuse children. Did you beat her to death?" Chu Machen's father was shocked. "What do you mean by beat her to death? Are you crazy? Murder is illegal. Don't accuse me wrongly. Chu Xiang is the only child I've raised in my life. If she isn't your daughter, I've never seen your daughter at all. If you want to investigate someone else, investigate it." Chu Machen's mother also said, "Chu Xiang was the one we brought home from the hospital. We always thought that she was our biological daughter. Otherwise, we would have thrown her into the orphanage long ago." What she said was true. They abused and beat the child to vent their anger. They even thought that the child was a jinx to them. If she wasn't their biological daughter, of course, they wouldn't keep her. Even if they left someone at home to work, they should find someone pleasing to the eye. Obviously, they didn't like Chu Xiang. Chu Machen's father let go of him and walked to the window impatiently to smoke. The second paternity test was done at the best DNA testing center in Beijing. He actually believed that it wasn't a fake. This time, the third test was just to verify and make sure that there was no mistake. However, he already had the result in his heart. If he went to the hospital now, the hospital would only have 2 families who had swapped children. After all, the power outage was only for a few minutes. How could they have swapped a few children? However, although the Chun family was suspicious, they weren't particularly suspicious. He wanted to find his biological daughter, but there was no clue at all. He looked out of the window and his heart kept sinking. It was very likely that he couldn't find his child. What about the Chus that he had worked hard for all his life? The Chu family had no heir. Chu Machen's mother thought differently from what he thought. She still remembered what Chu Xiang said in the study. Chu Xiang said that the Chun family and the Chu family had a grudge, so she asked them to raise the daughter of the Chun family and sent Chu Xiang to harm them. When they died of anger, Chu Xiang could take over the Chu family and change their surname to Chun. The huge family business that they had worked hard for was going to be changed to Chun. At first, Chu Machen's mother just thought that Chu Xiang said this casually to annoy her. However, when she found out that Chu Xiang wasn't her daughter, she immediately believed it. Now she looked at the Chun couple, Chu Xiang, and Chu Xian with hostility. She felt that the 4 of them had discussed to harm the Chu family. She got up and changed her seat far away from them. She asked with a cold face, "What on earth do you have against the Chu family? Chu Xian, did you know that they were your parents a long time ago? Since we raised you, if you tell me the truth today, I won't blame you for scheming against us. I'll even give you a house." Chu Xian was anxious and hurried forward. "Mom, I didn't scheme against you. I really didn't know. I'm still confused now. Today, Chu Xiang isn't your biological daughter. I can't believe it. The whole class saw it. Stay away from me. Don't come over." Chu Machen's mother frowned and waved her hand. Then she asked Chu Xiang, What do you want to do at my house? It's only been 3 months, and you've turned my family upside down. Why?" Chu Xiang frowned and looked at Chu Machen's father. "Mr. Chu, is she mentally ill?" Chu Machen's father was stunned by the Mr. Chu. He turned to look at her. Seeing that her expression was distant but not as lifeless as before, he felt very uncomfortable. They weren't related by blood. Did she feel better? That was why she called him Mr. Chu so naturally. It was much more natural than or Daddy. Chu Xiang ignored Chu Machen's mother's stare and continued. Mrs. Chu, are you suffering from paranoia? I didn't do anything in the Chu family. It was Chu Xian who turned the Chu family upside down, not me. The most precious thing in the Chu family is the company. I don't even know where the company is. What can I do? Chu Machen's father also felt that Chu Machen's mother's suspicion was inexplicable. What else could it be? He suspected that the Chens accidentally killed the child. How could Chu Machen's mother come up with a conspiracy theory without any evidence? Chu Xiang told Chu Machen's mother and father about what happened in the study. However, not only Chu Machen's father didn't believe it, but also Chen Machen's parents, who raised Chu Xiang, didn't believe it either. Since the Chen family didn't believe her, it made Chu Qian's mother even more suspicious. It also made her seem like there was something wrong with her head. Why did her words not make sense? Many things seemed to be her own imagination. Only Chu Xian knew that Chu Xiang was really bad. Chu Xiang lied to everyone. But she didn't have any evidence to expose Chu Xiang. And now she found that Chu Machen's mother was on guard against her because of Chu Xiang's words. She suspected that she wanted to take something from the Chens. This was the most serious thing for her. If Chu Machen's mother also disliked her, she wouldn't be able to inherit half of the Chu family's business. Therefore, Chu Xian only cared about comforting Chu Machen's mother. Chen Machen's parents scolded her for being unfilial. The atmosphere in the lounge was getting worse and worse. Fortunately, the DNA test was done quickly and the report was sent over soon. Otherwise, they would have fought in the lounge. Chu Machen's father took a deep breath and opened the report. Chu Xian was undoubtedly the daughter of the Chens, but Chu Xiang had no blood relationship with either of the Chens or the Chens. Chu Machen's father looked up and saw Chu Xiang breathe a sigh of relief, as if the whole world was lit up by the result. His heart suddenly tightened, and he felt as if there was a big stone on his chest. His fatherly love was not fake. He kept in touch with Chu Xiang every day, so he found that Chu Xiang was a talent. He had already planned to bring Chu Xiang to the company to teach during the holidays. He also hoped that Chu Xiang could learn well and bring the Chu family's business to a higher level. He was excited and proud to have a talented daughter, and he had unlimited expectations for the future. But now he suddenly found that Chu Xiang was not his daughter. How could such a good girl not be his daughter? Would his biological daughter be as good as Chu Xiang? Most importantly, Chu Xiang's sigh of relief showed that she didn't want to be his daughter. When he saw the two reports, he felt as if he had lost his daughter and his most precious treasure. Chapter 253. When Chu Xiang returned to school, the first thing her classmates did was ask her about the test results. Chu Xiang said happily, "I did it again, and the results were the same. I'm not the daughter of the Chen family, or the Chu family. I don't know how it got wrong in the hospital, but this is the real result." Her classmates felt that they should comfort her, but she was so happy that they didn't know what to say. Before they could say anything, Chu Xiang suddenly thought of something and ran away, leaving only one sentence. "I'm going to the office." In the self-study class, the students were talking about it. Many of them sent WeChat messages to their friends. It was confirmed that Chu Xiang wasn't the daughter of the Chu family. Some people who were drinking in the club couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of wine. They thought that the Chu family's scandal was over, but there was such a shocking reversal. If Chu Xiang wasn't the daughter of the Chu family, then all the grievances she had suffered before were in vain. Not only had she been abused by the Chen family for 17 years, but she had also been framed by Chu Xian and mistreated by the Chu couple. Why was she so miserable? Just as the discussion heated up, Chu Xiang returned to class with a piece of paper in her hand. Yunan asked worriedly, "Are you really okay? Where did you go?" Seeing that Xiao Yan and Yang Xueqing were also worried, Chu Xiang smiled and waved the note in her hand at them. "It's okay. I went to ask the teacher how much the tuition fee was, and the other expenses that the Chu family paid for me. Since I'm not the daughter of the Chu family, I should return the money to them. And the pocket money they gave me before should be included. Fortunately, they stopped my card. Otherwise, I would owe them more. Some students heard it and gasped in surprise. Chu Xiang, you want to pay the tuition fee to the Chu family? Do you know how much the tuition fee is? Yes. Chu Xiang waved the note again and sat back in her seat. The tuition fee is 600,000 yuan per semester, plus the dormitory fee and some miscellaneous expenses, 650,000 yuan, plus my expenses after I joined the Chu family. Chu Xiang lowered her head and wrote a few words on the paper. A total of 770,000 yuan. I heard that Mr. Chu also bought some clothes and shoes for me. I have been using them for 3 months, so there should be some interest. In the end, 1 million should be enough for me to pay the Chu family. Make it a round number. She had to remain calm, but the students in the class who heard her were not. Wang Shasha looked at her from head to toe and sneered. You're acting like it's real. 1 million is nothing to the eldest sister of the Chu family, but to an ordinary person, it's not something they can earn in 10 years. Yunnan frowned. Wang Shasha, stop being sarcastic. What does it have to do with you? Wang Shasha suddenly smiled. Oh, I forgot. She can borrow money from you. You have lent her so much money before. Yunnan wanted to get up but was stopped by Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang smiled and said, That's right. You can borrow from Nan Nan. We are on good terms. However, 1 million yuan is not a lot. I have made some good investments recently. It should be enough if I sell all my investments in stocks. She had the most brilliant smile on her face. By then, I won't owe the Chu family any money. I have to thank them. If they had not made a mistake, I would not have had the chance to meet all of you and see such a beautiful world. The students were stunned. Even Yunnan and Yang Xueqing stared at her in a daze. Only Xiao Yan, who was at the side, curled the corners of his lips slightly. His desk mate was fooling people again. How adorable! Following that, the class became lively. A few students who were far away even ran to Chu Xiang's side. Everyone was asking her if she had really earned money, what investments she made, how she understood those stocks, and so on. Chu Xiang was very patient. She told them in detail what she had heard when she went out with her friends. Then, she told them how many business reports she had read, analyzed the stock market of various companies, and made long-term and short-term investments. As for how she understood those tricks in the stock market, that was a question. She had self-taught. At most, she would ask a few questions when she went out to have fun. However, no one had taught her seriously. She could only rely on her ability to draw inferences. Chu Xiang even showed them the stock market software on her phone. Although she only opened it casually, some sharp-eyed students could see that she had made great profits. For a moment, the class was full of praises and exclamations. They were really happy. This feeling was as if they had witnessed a pearl that had been covered in dust blossoming with their own eyes. Chu Xiang was also very happy. However, she quickly put away the note and phone. She shushed everyone and asked them to go back to their studies. The midterm exams were coming soon. Studying was the most important thing. The students smiled kindly. They were already used to her focusing on her studies. When they returned to their seats, the first thing they did was to spread the news that Chu Xiang had made money by investing in stocks. Therefore, just as someone suggested that Chu Xiang had been mistaken for taking advantage of others, he was refuted by the news that Chu Xiang wanted to return 1 million yuan. When Chu Xiang was calculating the money, several students saw it. Chu Xiang hadn't been home for the past few days. She hadn't seen the new clothes that Father Chu had prepared for her. She even calculated the money and wanted to return it to the Chu family. She was very affectionate and righteous. Moreover, she had just returned to the Chu family for 3 months. She had calculated a lot of interest on the money and rounded it up. Obviously, she was very grateful to the Chu family for bringing her to see the world. She didn't let the Chu family down at all. If she was mistaken for the eldest sister of the Chu family and enjoyed something, it didn't exist at all. Everyone had eaten the gossip about the Chu family. Who didn't know that she had been wrongly accused of stealing from the Chu family? Who didn't know that she had been malnourished for 3 months in the Chu family? Who didn't know that Father Chu didn't give her food and Mother Chu slapped her in the face? Chu Xian even framed her at home and outside, causing her to be isolated at school for so long. They had all seen how Chu Xiang had suffered. If Chu Xiang was a child of the Chu family, they could reluctantly say that the Chu couple had taught their child. It was just that their methods weren't right. But now Chu Xiang wasn't a child of the Chu family. Then what was the difference between the Chu couple's behavior and the Chen family's? When Chu Xiang was looking forward to fatherly and motherly love with joy and thought that she had escaped from Lin prison, their cold treatment was a bigger blow to her. Didn't they see that Chu Xiang had lowered her head as if she was suffering from depression? 2 days ago, Chu Xiang mentioned that her parents were looking out of the window and were misunderstood by her good friend as wanting to commit suicide. Originally, some people suspected that the Chu couple had known from the beginning that Chu Xiang wasn't their biological daughter, so they treated her so badly. But after analyzing the information revealed by C.I. Lu, they felt that all kinds of things were clear. The Chu couple had always thought that Chu Xiang was their biological daughter. They didn't have any special purpose for treating Chu Xiang badly. First, it was because Chu Xian had misled them. Second, it was because they thought that children could be taught a lesson at will. They didn't care about this child who was found halfway. So the Chu family brought only despair to Chu Xiang. Compared to the Chu family bringing her to see the world, the Chu family hurt her more. Such a small favor was not worth mentioning at all. It was Yunnan and the others who brought Chu Xiang to see the world. At most, the Chu family only provided her with an opportunity to enter the school and meet her classmates. But at first, Yunnan and the others didn't get along with Chu Xianglai. It was only when Chu Xiang fell into the water and took the initiative to make friends that the ice was broken. So Chu Xiang's current circle of friends mainly depended on herself. She really didn't borrow the power of the Chu family. Other than giving her an opportunity to enter the school, the Chu family did everything else to hurt her. Even so, Chu Xiang didn't resent them at all. After knowing that she wasn't their biological daughter, she even thanked them for giving her such an opportunity. She even wanted to repay more money. She didn't even mention the harm they had done to her. Who wouldn't like such a smart and sensible girl who was full of sunshine? If the Chu family had treated her well after recognizing her, she wouldn't have asked for another test in despair. Then she would have always been the Chu family's daughter. For the Chu family to have such a talented girl as their daughter, others couldn't be envious. She was simply someone else's child. Unfortunately, the Chu family didn't treat her well. Fortunately, she realized her dream. She really wasn't the Chu family's daughter. Now that she was free, she even cut off the last connection with the Chu family after repaying the money. And now, the Chu family had no descendants, leaving only a vicious adopted daughter. She didn't know if the Chu couple regretted it. Since Mrs. Chu knew that the campus BBS was talking about the Chu family, she couldn't help opening it to take a look. This time, she saw that the students were congratulating Chu Xiang for leaving the Chu family. She was furious. Then, she saw that Chu Xiang had made money and wanted to repay them 1 million yuan. She was even angrier. She said to Mr. Chu, "She was definitely arranged to come to the Chu family to ruin our reputation. How could she make 1 million yuan in such a short time? I can't make it even if I go out to make money now." Liar. Mr. Chu took her mobile phone and read it carefully. He knew the cause and effect from many fragmented messages. It turned out that Chu Xiang could get inspiration when she went out with her friends. She could also get information from their chat. Stock trading was sometimes difficult, but sometimes it wasn't. For example, if someone knew the recent situation of a company, it was possible to confirm that the company's stock would rise or fall. Of course, it required accurate vision and enough analytical ability. When he chatted with Chu Xiang, he felt that Chu Xiang was smart and good at business. If it was before, he wouldn't believe that Chu Xiang could do it. But now he kind of believed it. Mrs. Chu was still nagging angrily. She was really angry. Her daughter was disrespectful to her. She could tolerate it, and felt that her daughter needed to be taught a lesson. But now Chu Xiang was an outsider. She didn't know where this wild child came from. How dare she scold her and frame her? Now she wanted to throw Chu Xiang into the slums. But Mr. Chu couldn't understand her anger at all. If she was their child, they would be proud. If she wasn't their child, then it had nothing to do with them. What was Mrs. Chu doing? He had a headache because of the noise. He couldn't help but say, "You can't do it, but it doesn't mean that others can't." Chu Xiang may be a business genius. She even got full marks in the math exam a few days ago. Who can compare with her learning ability? I've already checked the rumors outside. Chu Xiang didn't say anything bad about her family. It was all because Chu Xiang found fault with her again and again. Finally, she was exposed and revealed the news. And that medical examination report, it was accidentally picked up by a classmate. What do you mean by picked up by a classmate? I think she deliberately let others see it. What happened in the study room with me is true. She's too good at acting. She's a liar. You have to check if the company's business secrets have been leaked. I suspect that she was sent by a business rival. Mr. Chu narrowed his eyes and looked at his wife. Suddenly he remembered what Chu Xiang said. Was his wife mentally ill? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.